and gentlemen, stand up and get loud for the greatest talk show in television history, everybody.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 409 of Fans Talk Pro Wrestling. This is being recorded on Wednesday, January 31st, 2018. My name is Nick. With me this week is Adam. Say hi, Adam.
Hi, Adam.
And also with me is Garvin. Say hi, Adam.
Hi, Adam.
Hey, Garvin, what's going on?
Hey, not too bad. Thanks for asking.
No problem, dude.
I'm glad that bit went as well as it did. Okay, so this week we are looking back in the rear view at a whole slew of wrestling. So in the WWE, we had both Takeover in Philadelphia as well as Royal Rumble. Over across the pond, over in New Japan, we had New Beginning in Sapporo, Night 1 and Night 2. So we're going to be discussing a lot of that, plus some of the fallout from the Royal Rumble on Raw and SmackDown, as well as 205 Live. But in that vein, there were a couple of news items that the WWE dropped. Firstly, Ronda Rousey is now a full-time signee with the WWE. If you watched Royal Rumble, you saw at the end of the show where she came out after Asuka won the Women's Rumble, and we're not sure what's going to happen with Asuka or Ronda Rousey. But she's there. I don't necessarily know what this means. Her being a full-time signee, that could mean anything. Is she going to compete on the roster? Is she going to NXT? Is she just going to fuck off somewhere until WrestleMania and then she's going to tag with The Rock? I don't know. What do you think is going to happen?
Real quick, what I read is that it's a full-time contract.
Right.
It has to be on the main roster, otherwise why debut her at Royal Rumble?
Yeah, I mean, I would kind of agree with that logic. That seems like, but you know, they've done stranger things with roster shakeups and what have you in the past, so I wouldn't put it past them to, you know, possibly give her some kind of stint in NXT. Probably post-Mania, though. I would have definitely assumed that she'd be making a lot of main roster appearances up to WrestleMania.
So she wrestles at WrestleMania, because that has to happen at this point.
Right.
And then she gets shipped down to NXT after that?
Well, I mean, I guess in that case, it would kind of depend on how successful she was at Mania, because I could definitely see a narrative where she loses, realizes she has to kind of like hone her skills, and therefore starts from the bottom.
So wait, Garvin, you think that Ronda's going to debut in-ring at Mania?
Well, I didn't say debut at Mania. I think, but she will have a match at Mania. It's just a matter of what direction is WWE going to go in. You know, there's been the rumors of the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen. Then there is this idea that I've seen spread around where it would be like Ronda and someone versus Stephanie and maybe Triple H. I don't like that idea, though. I don't know, man. I don't want her pushed into a title race, but I'm not sure what direction you really could go except that way if she's coming in full time as a singles competitor. I mean, you're basically saying she's signed full-time deal, she's made a debut, and now she's got, 2 months before WrestleMania.
I think based on how they presented her at the end of the Rumble, that we will probably not see her compete until Mania, personally. I guess if we saw her any earlier than that, it would have to be at Elimination Chamber. So I guess they could throw her into the Elimination Chamber match as sort of a safe bet. But I don't know. I think
a safe bet.
Well, I mean, like, because you have 5 other people to kind of, lean on in that type of match. By
and
what I mean in safe.
Not
bet.
like she's a stranger to cages.
Sure, that's also a fair point. So that's a possibility, but I don't know. I mean, WWE, especially when they have those large, spectacle-like talent, they tend to book them very sparingly, especially in WrestleMania season. So I wouldn't be surprised if they waited until Mania to give her her first match.
I could see them waiting until Mania for a first match, but I think after Mania, if this this line is true that they have signed her for a full-time contract, I mean she's got to be wrestling every week, every other week at some point.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's not just rumor. That is straight up fact. She is fully signed with them. So I don't think they can get away with just having her fuck off until Mania. That feels like all of this feels very weird and ill-advised to me. Like her having a match on the main roster at all up until Mania, because it's not even like what you have with Shayna Baszler. It's not like she spent years being trained by pro wrestlers. She might have visited the PC for a couple weeks, but I feel like if she had been training with anyone extensively, we'd have heard about it by now.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, there would be some kind of at least suggestion that she's been training.
But let's not forget, this is also the same company that had no problem feeding Sting to Triple H in his first WrestleMania appearance, and having him lose, and having him shake the devil's hand after being knocked out with a fucking sledgehammer. So they're not opposed to silly, stupid decisions. And I think this, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to completely put the cart before the horse and say that Ronda Rousey is going to be absolutely horrible in the ring. I don't think any of us are saying that really, but ultimately, like it is really hard to discern what is going to happen with her. Judging by how WWE books is really the only way that I kind of get any sort of beat on what might happen. And generally speaking, when they have the Goldbergs, the Brock Lesnars, the other guest stars that are celebrity talent and whatnot, they save them for a really big event to debut, so to speak. So I like I say, the Elimination Chamber is probably the only other kind of okay thing, and I don't know how I feel about that either, because that means that she's probably getting put in there fairly automatically, because I really don't think they're going to blow her first match on a Raw, you know. I don't think they're just going to feed some random nobody to her, so it's a weird situation. It's a sticky situation to say the least, I think.
I think I think a lot of us are going to be somewhat iffy and skeptical about the whole thing, no matter what they do. So if they go the route of feeding her some squash matches, like exhibition matches type of thing, between now and then, I think we might look down on that just because it's, versus no names versus instead of against like actual talent. But yeah, and if she does wrestle at WrestleMania, that's her first wrestling match. Like that's a huge deal. That's a lot of pressure on her to debut in that way,
I feel like she has to have those exhibition matches at least after Fastlane, if not earlier, because she's coming in. Everybody knows who she is, but she hasn't fought in over a year. Her last couple of fights, she lost in spectacular fashion, and she's basically been a hermit since then. I think if you're going to raise her stock in the eyes of the viewer, you have to show everybody what she can do. And if that's against local indie talent, then so be it. But you have to give people a reason to watch. And just putting Ronda Rousey on the card, that's not enough reason anymore, especially since we don't know. We have no idea what could happen. For all we know, it's going to be a singles match against Stephanie.
I don't think. I think that's the way we see her. That she has to prove some stuff. I think WWE still very firmly thinks that her name value alone is what's going to get her over. That's exactly how they presented her at the Rumble. I don't
doubt that.
Ronda Rousey.
But the fan base, they don't like. Nobody wants to see Ronda fight anymore. That's why she's not back in the UFC.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, I definitely think that's a very harsh criticism because, I mean, it's only been 2 matches really, but that's UFC and MMA for you. But at the same time, I think WWE is still going to book her as if she is as hot as she was before she lost.
Yeah, that they absolutely will. I mean, they do the same thing for Shayna Baszler, who never really did anything
Right.
in MMA.
And in that vein, I think we maybe see her at Elimination Chamber. Most likely won't see her compete until WrestleMania. We might see her on TV, but I don't think she'll actually compete in a match until WrestleMania.
You don't think they give her anything to do at Fastlane?
Well, it would be Elimination Chamber, wouldn't it, for Raw?
Yeah, it'd be Raw.
Yeah, but she's not affiliated with one brand or
That's
another, at least not
fair.
yet.
Well, that's
but-
true. She hasn't. She hasn't specified like an actual opponent yet. So yeah, you're correct.
That's fair enough, but I mean, everything about her presentation sure seems like they're leaning towards putting her on Raw. I don't know if SmackDown seems like a pretty Raw's division feels very stagnant to me. SmackDown's division feels very full. So to me, the safe bet is to put her on Raw. If they do put her on SmackDown and compete with her against Fastlane, the only, I think, credible contender that would give her any sort of challenge would be Charlotte. And that kind of also has some problems for me. I don't want her to come in and immediately challenge for a title. So I don't.
Well, you don't have to throw her at Charlotte. Like, if she does do anything at Fastlane, give her Becky Lynch or give her Natalya. Like, I definitely trust SmackDown's women's division a lot more with this literal newbie
Sure.
than I do with Raw's women's
Sure,
division.
I feel like though the mentality is that she'd squash Becky or Natalya. You know, that's how they'd want to book her. Is how I feel.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The way that WWE is with their self-aggrandizement, you can't do that. Like, there's no way they would.
That's entirely possible.
Nick.
Yeah, go ahead, Garvin. What
I-
were you saying there?
I just want to clarify what you meant by Shayna didn't really do a whole lot in MMA.
Like, she didn't compete in UFC. She didn't really compete in any of the top promotions.
Okay.
Like, she
I got-
never really got far.
She definitely wasn't. If you could use the term in MMA, she wasn't as over as Rousey by any means. I never even really knew of her or heard her name until the WWE started talking to me about the MMA Four Horsewomen.
Well, just to clarify, though, she did fight in the UFC.
All right.
Who'd she beat?
Oh, let's see if she beat anyone in UFC. Looks like no. No, she lost both her matches. She lost against Amanda Nunes and Beth Correa. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If she didn't beat Beth Correa, then she didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious.
One other little tidbit from WWE. Happier news, I suppose. The Dudleys have been announced for this year's Hall of Fame class. They're going to be joining Goldberg, and currently those are the only two entries into this year's Hall of Fame. What is it? Usually 6 get inducted every year?
They'll probably count the Dudleys as one. So
Oh, yeah.
between 6 and 8, I think, depending on the year.
Yeah, so we got one posthumous entry coming. We got a celebrity. We have at least one woman. As hard as they're pushing with like the Women's Rumble and then the Women's Elimination Chamber coming up, we might see 2 women this year, which wouldn't be a bad thing. But yeah, you think this is long overdue, or do you think this is about right? Given like Devon's retired, he's office now, but Bubba has kind of stayed on that bubble.
I suppose it's definitely something I'm happy to see, you know. Long overdue is up for debate. I would say like cautiously yes. Like I'm not angered by the fact that it took this long, but it is surprising to consider. Even though, you know, I know you two have gone at length to point out that they've spent more time elsewhere than they have in their careers with WWE. I do think they made their biggest marks. You know, don't get me wrong, they did great things in TNA and in various indies and whatnot. I'm not trying to undersell those points, but I think their biggest things will always be the TLC matches they were involved in, and, you know, really cultivating the tag team division along with Edge and Christian, along with the Hardy Boys, and, you know, the other various tag teams that kind of intermingled with those main 3 for the time that they were, you know, at the height of their popularity in the division. So I do feel, there's a certain, I don't know, gray area, but to me, the WWE feels like home for the Dudleys. So to see them going into the Hall of Fame, I think is a cool thing.
I'm generally in agreement. They obviously have the necessary experience to be in the Hall of Fame, in WWE or not. I guess my only qualm with this is that we never got to see Bully Ray in WWE.
Yeah.
That's the only sad part of this.
I mean, it's not impossible. There have been other Hall of Famers that have, competed after they've been inducted into the Hall of Fame. I doubt it, but it's not impossible.
Small doses, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Matches.
But still, I mean, I think even a one-off is better than nothing.
No, I don't think so.
Not
in this case. No, you need a longer story.
When I say one-off, I mean like a run, not like for one night only or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, I wanted to see Bully Ray in the WWE. I think the Dudleys are given rather short shrift when they came back.
Yeah, agreed. I definitely agree.
They had an angle with a New Day that didn't really go anywhere, but I think Devon was pretty close to being on his way out. I think he's probably happier now. I was gonna say he's probably running this training school, but I don't even know if they do that anymore. I'd imagine he has a hand in training his kids, but yeah. Aside from wanting to see Bully Ray as a singles competitor, they earned this. They're like the single most decorated tag team in existence. Yeah, they spent more time elsewhere, but the WWE was their biggest platform. They reached a lot of homes, a lot of families, a lot of viewers in the WWE. So, and they influenced a lot of guys. So, yeah, congratulations to them.
Not that I want to, overpack this show with the subject, but it does seem kind of like we're sort of dancing around it anyway. It's being posed in the live chat that Bully himself said that the gimmick wouldn't have worked in WWE or WWE. Would you guys agree with that?
I mean, I can remember him saying that, but I can't recall if he was quoting someone in WWE or if that was his real opinion. To me, it is definitely a character as is that would not work in WWE. I think they could toy with it and make it work, but you'd have to cut some of the sharp edges off the side, I think.
So, I mean, I haven't seen a ton of Bully Ray myself, but I guess to add my 2 cents, in my experience with WWE, I'm not going to say that it is impossible for it to work, but they are, whether it's primarily Vince McMahon, which I think it is, and a few of the other members of creative and whatnot, if it's not birthed in that, gestation pod, then it's always going to be a shell of what it was formerly. They did that with Sting. They did that. They're doing it now with Woken Matt Hardy, and literally any other gimmick, outside of something that where essentially you're more or less a normal guy, like a gimmick like AJ Styles or something like that, where there's not really a nuance to it, as far as character goes. They're gonna butcher it because I don't know. I guess I think it's sort of one of those things where if it's something that you've created, then you're gonna care for it. If it's something that you haven't, then you're not. So I'm not going to say that there's no way in hell it works in WWE, but I just don't think the WWE gives it as good of a chance as some place like TNA or
I think
and whatnot.
I think they could make it work. I think it wouldn't work as well as it did in TNA because TNA were seemingly hands off with quite a bit of the talent, and he could do pretty much whatever he wanted. WWE would not give him that much control, and I think he would need that.
And that's I agree with you in principle, Adam. Like, the WWE is not big on pushing things they didn't make. Matt Hardy is nowhere near what made him great in TNA. But with Bully Ray, I mean, that's essentially what Baron Corbin's doing right now. He's not as vulgar as Bully would get, but broad strokes, that's just Bully light.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I can see Bubba not wanting to do it if he can't go full tilt with it, but I don't know. I feel like that brand of loudmouth New Yorker heel, I think that could still be entertaining, even if you had to rein it in a little bit, just so like you're not swearing in front of children at home. But that's just me. That's just what I would like to see. We could always see it in a Rumble or any of the 100 different nostalgia shticks they do throughout the year. So yeah, right now I'm not going to turn my nose up at what we are going to get. All right, so that is pretty much going to do it for the news.
Well, I think we need to touch on at least that one thing.
We don't, because that is a rumor, and it's not official by any means.
Even from Borash's side? I'm sorry, I just said it.
Has he announced it?
I thought, yes, it has not been like totally official, but I mean,
because I don't think
look like all signs are pointing.
Okay, here's a rumor. Jeremy Borash is rumored to have been signed with the WWE. Like, he's gone from Impact. Sources say he is headed to New York. As far as I'm aware, Borash has not confirmed that. The WWE has not confirmed that. PW Insider said that somebody from Impact said he was gone.
Yeah, and it was like within the last like 24 hours, maybe less. So, yeah, maybe it is too early.
Yeah, that's very unconfirmed. We don't even know for sure if he's actually gone from Impact. I don't think. So, I mean, we'll see. There's probably going to be more that comes out over the week. But let's go ahead and get him into the main meat of the show. Everybody here watched New Beginning, right? Or at least is aware of what happened?
Yes.
I did not. No.
Oh, you bitch.
Yeah, that's I'm a bitch.
All right, so we'll just hit some highlights here.
No, I mean, go ahead, you guys. You don't have to spare me. Please. If there's stuff you want.
Good, because we don't want to.
Stuff you want to talk about, I'm not going to hold you from it.
Firstly, it is important to note that Kitamura lost both matches of his challenge series, first against Michael Elgin and then against Juice Robinson. If he was going to beat anybody, it should have been Michael Elgin, because fuck that guy.
And now he's done, right? He's now going on to his excursion?
No, he's got 4 more matches.
Right.
Like match 4, 5, and 6, the opponents have been announced, but I don't remember who they are. And match 7, I don't think we have an opponent announced yet. I think he said he wants Tanahashi, but I don't know. We'll see.
So I'm kind of confused by this whole excursion thing. Just because I thought it was for talent that isn't quite there yet.
No, that's typically what they do with all the Young Lions. They send them out to Ring of Honor, like with Jay White, or they send them to CMLL, like Sho and Yo from Roppongi 3K did. Where another one of their Young Lions has gone already in the last week or so, Kawato. They do that with all the Young Lions to get them seasoned elsewhere, get them exposed to different styles, help mold their creative juices, get them used to working with foreigners, maybe pick up some of the language. It's honestly a system I'd like to see other companies adopt, and maybe with the ties that Impact is forging, maybe they could work out something similar with like Noah or AAA or another company. But yeah, it's a pretty neat system.
I don't know. I mean, like I can see some benefits, I guess, but just looking at this dude, like why couldn't they mold him there? Like, why does he have to leave to get like schooled, I guess? Like, why can't he just be on the low?
It's less about getting schooled and more about getting exposure, getting experience, not just working in one place, but getting a chance to work with the best people in other promotions.
So is New Japan then like only like top talent?
Not necessarily, because like you see with Switchblade Jay White, he just came back from Excursion and he's working with top guys, but he is by no means a top guy. Like they still have a mid card, so to speak. That's kind of where you've got your older veterans like Tenzan and Kojima. That's where you've got Juice, David Finlay.
But it's a requirement
for their young lions. Yes, the people that they bring up from scratch in the dojo.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I don't think he needs it. I think everything we saw this weekend, like that guy definitely has a future, and I'm kind of confused why they don't just pounce on it. You know, just looking at what we're more familiar with as far as like the WWE or even TNA, if they had someone that they were able to bring up and could work right away and had the look and could wrestle, that they would give him that shot, I feel.
I would say look at it like you see with Drew Galloway or EC3 now, or Drew McIntyre, excuse me. Like when they were in WWE the first time around, they were okay. They definitely could have kept working there and kept filling a spot and doing what they were doing. They definitely had a firm grip on their characters, their what they did well, but you know, they got let go. They went other places. Like EC3 went to Impact, and you know, he's worked elsewhere in like AAA and elsewhere abroad. He's worked in Wrestle One, and now he's back. McIntyre, he went back to ICW and became a top guy there and learned what it is to be a top guy, learned what it is to work with other top guys, top indie talent, and now he's back.
Well, he also went to TNA. He was a top guy.
Yeah, and he was a top guy there, and like he worked with some of the best talent, not in the WWE. And I think it would be universally agreed upon that they're both better talents, having worked elsewhere.
I don't know, dude. It's just a strange concept, I guess. Like, I'm not necessarily against it, but I just feel like if you've got a guy like this guy, and he's as good as he is, as young as he is, it's kind of odd, especially when you do go to, you know, you do listen to some guys that are on the indies talking like that they can make, you know, really good money there. Like if I don't know, it's just odd. Like if he has to go to the indies to make a name for himself, like it just seems weird to me.
And that's kind of the thing, because if he just stayed there forever, chances are pretty decent that he wouldn't get any better. Like he'd keep working, or at least in the eyes of the fans, because you still got Tanahashi, you still got Okada, you still got Naito, you still got all the top guys there. And yeah, he wouldn't be jobbing 90% of the time anymore, but you know, he'd still be that Kitamura guy. He'd still be that. He's not a young lion technically anymore, but you know, I just saw him a couple months ago losing to all these scrubs, losing to all these old guys. And I think that's also part of the excursion, is to get them away from where they used to be. Because when you have guys come back from excursion, they're different characters. Sho and Yo became Fujin and Raijin, who, you know, Rocky Romero rebranded as Roppongi 3K. Jay White came back as a Switchblade. Hiromu Takahashi came back as the Ticking Time Bomb, the character you see now. He was a very different guy when he was a young lion, and then when he went to CMLL on excursion. So they come back as these drastically different characters. You get it like a fresh start, a clean slate. I think that's half the reason for the excursion, and so that you can give the fans a chance to get in on the ground floor of this new act. But yeah, it's definitely a very unique thing in wrestling. I don't know any other company that does it, even in Japan. Partially because I don't think any other company has the kind of ties that New Japan does, like they have with ROH and CMLL. But yeah, it's definitely unique. Elsewhere in New Beginning Night 1, you had Bullet Club retain the Never Openweight 6-man tag titles against Hanare, Taguchi, and Makabe. Let's see, elsewhere. So over Night 1 and Night 2, you had Chaos butting heads with Los Ingobernables. And it was kind of flip-flop from where I was thinking it would play out, but it essentially played out the way I thought. They traded wins. Chaos won the first night. Los won the second night. And the first night, Okada, he got the victory. Sonata didn't really get touched. But then post-match, he jumped Sonata, basically called him out as not being worth it. Trash talked him for a bit. And then the second night, I think Sonata picked up the win, and I don't recall exactly who did, but Sonata gave a promo back that essentially, solidified his position as a number one contender. So we are going to be seeing Sonata take on Okada for the heavyweight title. I'm not sure when that's happening. I'm not sure if that's on another New Beginning show or if that's later on down the line. But yeah, I'm very interested in seeing that match unfold because I would love Sonata to be heavyweight champ. Somebody needs to take that belt off Okada sometime soon, I imagine. And I would love for it to be Sonata.
Yeah, Sonata's gone. He's come a long way from what I remember seeing him with. I mean, I had the unfortunate experience of seeing him being like completely misused in TNA. Never thought he was as good as he is right now. Based on that experience. So yeah, I definitely don't mind seeing him compete for the top title. I think he's definitely he definitely has the chops for it.
Yeah, I wish he'd been used not just better, but used more in TNA, because there's a reason Muda picked him out as his protege. Like, he was going to be the ace of Wrestle 1. And how they managed to let that guy slip through their fingers, I don't know. But he's on a bigger platform now. He's wrestling all over the world as part of Los, and it's awesome. Later in the night, we had Chaos versus the Elite. Jay White and Roppongi 3K versus Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. And it was Yo that took the pin. Or I think he submitted, rather. And, so just some general showboating happened after the match. Nothing of substance really took place, but it kind of laid the ground for what happened on night 2. Which, I think I'll say that for last. The main event of night 1, Hiroshi Tanahashi failed in his defense of the Intercontinental Championship against Minoru Suzuki. And I don't know about you, Garvin, but I really rather enjoyed this match.
Yeah, this was good. This was definitely a favorite of mine this weekend. Suzuki, he is the man. I really enjoy that whole character, that whole look, the wrestling style, the attitude. Awesome.
Yeah, and Tanahashi, as beat up as he is, as many lingering injuries as he has going on, I am legitimately surprised he lasted as long as he did. And that's his shtick. He has the crowd so firmly in his pocket that he can do anything and make them care about it. And AJ Styles has talked about this a few times when he was having his title match against Tanahashi and had him in the calf crusher. And he was getting ready to let up on it, but Tana told him, no, keep it locked in a few more minutes. And he did. And AJ's looking out of the crowd and he's seeing people crying over all of the suffering that Tana is enduring. And that's just the effect that he has on people. Yeah. After this match with Suzuki, the camera cut to a portion of the crowd, and there's this woman leaning her head on the guardrail, and she's just distraught. And there's a man a couple rows behind her, not much better off. I think it helps that Suzuki is just such a psychotic madman, but that is a level of involvement, of just empathy that I don't think anybody else in pro wrestling really engenders in an audience like Tanahashi does. Frankly, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Beanbags is asking if this match, in our opinion, it was as good as the internet was saying. To be honest, I quickly skipped past most of the conversation because I did not start watching it until yesterday, I think. So I don't really know a whole lot of the conversation, but it was a great match.
Yeah, like this is what should have happened with Suzuki's challenge against Okada for the title. It was essentially the same match, except it lasted longer, and then Okada went on to sell like Cena, get in all his shit, and win. Like, this is what you do when Suzuki is just stretching you and tearing you apart for 20 plus minutes. And it wasn't even Tanahashi tapped out or he passed out. Like, as the match went on, the ref is getting more and more concerned, like visibly concerned. And he keeps asking Tana, can you continue? Should I stop the match? And Tana's telling him no. To the point where, like, Red Shoes was looking upset over this whole situation. Like, every time Suzuki would, like, lock that move in just a little bit more, you see Red Shoes just kind of, like, throwing his hands up, like, conflicted. Like, should I let this continue? Like, this man is being held together by duct tape and like, enthusiastic prayer. Like, and just seeing that, all those levels of conflict play out. I don't know what the internet is saying about it, but I was hooked. Like, I thought this match was easily one of the best matches I've seen from either man.
For me, it was definitely match of the night for night one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't even think it's close. From night two, you had some fallout from night one, such as Tanahashi and Elgin facing Suzuki and his stable partner Iizuka, and Suzuki won, I think, as you'd expect. Roppongi 3K regained the junior heavyweight tag team titles from the Young Bucks. Frankly, I don't think the Young Bucks ever should have taken them in the first place. So this is just a restoration of the balance as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I love Roppongi's rivalry with the Young Bucks now. I think this kind of supplants prior rivalries with like Roppongi Vice or Red Dragon or the Time Splitters. Like, I really love the way these two teams interact with each other. And, it's always nice to see Rocky take a powerbomb or what have you. But yeah, I thought this match was very entertaining. And I'm glad Roppongi can say that they're two-time champs, and I hope they hold the belts for a while.
Yeah, I enjoyed the match. I definitely do like the feud. But I guess my issue with it is, going from Wrestle Kingdom, seeing some of the build for Wrestle Kingdom, then 2 nights of New Beginning. I'm getting kind of tired of that feud. Like, I kind of want to see someone else interjected into that. And I think maybe it's just because it's like we're only seeing these events like, once a month type of thing versus having a weekly show to go with it. But yeah, I can definitely see myself getting quickly tired of that match.
Yeah, I imagine they have a rematch set, either for the Osaka show or sometime soon, but I'd expect somebody else to cycle in before too much longer. Suzuki-gun has all kinds of juniors they can throw into a tag team. Taichi, Taka, Zack Sabre Jr.,
yeah,
Kanemaru,
and then just thinking
maybe he took it to Japan.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking out loud, like, also looking at the Wrestle Kingdom 11 card, which was pretty much the last show I watched before 12, and it was the same match.
It couldn't have been.
I'm sorry, it was. That's right. I'm reading this wrong. Okay,
Roppongi Vice.
Yeah, it was Roppongi Vice. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, they went head to head with the Bucks a lot last year. The junior tag scene was pretty barren until Suzuki-gun came back. So yeah, the junior scene is weird because you see all kinds of competition in the singles realm, but outside of the Bucks and another tag team, there's not a whole lot of like stable teams. You'll see, like with Suzuki-gun, you'll see a lot of mix and matching. Taka and Taichi were a unit for a good long while, but when they came back with Kanemaru from Noah, they started mixing him in a lot, and Zack Sabre started mixing in a lot. But yeah, I imagine we'll see a little more variety as the months progress. I think that leaves only the main event from night 2, which was the United States Heavyweight Championship. Kenny Omega defending against Jay White. And we had the Switchblade go over. Omega is no longer the United States champion. I like this match. I don't think it was as good as Tanahashi and Suzuki, but there was a lot of fun in this match. There were different spots that I enjoyed, like Switchblade doing the leapfrog spot, the drop down, all of that jazz, except when Switchblade did the leapfrog, he came down into a 3-point stance. And I don't even think that was entirely intentional, but it just looked so good that I would love it if he could work that into a thing. And then that flatliner he hit on Omega. I don't think I've ever seen anybody move into that and execute it in one fluid motion the way Switchblade did. And I love that. Like, I just want to find that clip and isolate it and just have it looping forever on my computer just so I can reference it at any time and just fall in love with that spot again.
Great match, for sure. I would too probably rank it second overall, behind the main event for night 1. Yeah, it was a fun match. I mean, overall, like from like competition side, it seemed like they were pretty equal matched. Which is somewhat surprising, at least for me, and not being like, I'm still new to this, but it seemed like Omega is like one of the top guys, and to have Jay White, who just like returned, beat him, was, definitely surprising on that front, but not necessarily in a bad way, Yeah, but this was a great match, and obviously the aftermath was interesting as well.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and dig into that aftermath. So after Omega dropped the title, we saw Hangman Page come out. And Switchblade is in there celebrating, holding the belt up. Hangman comes behind him and grabs the belt away from him. And, they're having a stare down, and Hangman's kind of studying it, and he's starting to raise it up like he's declaring he's next in line. Omega runs up, takes the belt away from Hangman, and then hands it back to Switchblade. And from there on, we saw different Bullet Club members come out. You saw Cody Rhodes come out, all pissed off at Kenny, saying, "What are you doing? That was his moment. You took that away from him." And they're arguing back and forth. Marty Scurll's coming out trying to play peacemaker. And you just have everybody up in everybody's faces until the Young Bucks run out. And, you kind of see battle lines starting to draw. You see Kenny and Hangman on one side, the Elite on the other side. Marty's not really in the process of drawing battle lines. He's trying to calm things down. And then the Bucks are trying to pull Kenny back, and Kenny turns and shoves Matt, who earlier in the night aggravated the kayfabe back injury that he suffered against Roppongi 3K. And you see Matt and Nick just utterly aghast. Like, everything stops. Everybody's staring at Kenny. He's obviously remorseful. And the Bucks leave him. And from then on, things calm down. Marty leaves. Hangman leaves. Cody and Kenny bump fists. And Cody, kind of lowers the ropes for Kenny to climb out. And as he's starting to climb out, Cody pounces and hits a crossroads on him. And, Marty runs back and he's losing his shit and he's clearly upset. Hangman comes back and he's not upset at all. And eventually Hangman actually grabs Kenny and holds him for a chair shot from Cody. And Marty doesn't want any part of this, but Cody's about to kill Kenny. And then the crowd starts going nuts and Ibushi hits the ring to save Kenny. Clears the ring, and then they're kind of just standing there. And Ibushi tries to help Kenny up. Kenny kind of waves him away and drags himself up on the ropes. And Ibushi's still standing there, hand extended. And Kenny just shakes his head. And then, it's looking like a real somber moment. And then the two hug each other. Red confetti bursts out everywhere. And, as events after the show kind of bear out, the tag team of the Golden Lovers is reunited.
It was definitely,
that was really fucking cool.
It was definitely like a brothers don't shake hands, brothers hug kind of moment. I felt like it was good. Overall, this was really well executed. as far as Hangman Page coming out and basically disrespecting Omega to start this by, skipping over him to take, to put himself in line for the title. I thought that was curious, I guess, but as things unfolded, like it completely made sense. So I don't know. I don't know what this means moving forward. I guess Kenny's out of the Bullet Club totally. I don't think it's been said, but it definitely implied.
That's what it looks like. There was a Being the Elite episode that aired afterward, that Cody aired. And the title is Everything's Fine. And like the tagline is Bullet Club's fine, we're fine, everything's fine. I have not watched it, but it does not look like everything is reconciled.
I could be wrong. I think it was like a 19-minute video. I watched the first 4 minutes, and then I had to stop because something else came up. But it was everyone except for like everyone that was in the ring at the end except for Kenny, and they're just sitting there quietly like eating, not saying anything to one another.
Yeah, I saw screenshots of Kenny outside the hotel door. Like the Bucks are in the doorway, and Ibushi moves in to join Kenny. But I haven't seen the videos. I don't know if they actually say that Kenny's out or that he's in or what have you. But I am fairly certain Kenny's gone.
But now we have a new tag team. Huh?
Yeah.
It's good. It's good for everybody.
Yeah. Fuck, who else is tag teams? Oh, Evil and Sonata. That's right. Yeah, I'd absolutely enjoy watching Evil and Sonata go head to head with Kenny and Ibushi.
Wait.
What?
I thought Roppongi 3K have the tag team championships.
They have the junior tag titles. Evil and Sonata have the heavyweight tag titles.
There's so many titles.
I mean, there's the same titles for like the heavyweights and the juniors, except for the Intercontinental.
I guess I never made that connection. Like I knew there was like a trios championship, and I thought that was the only other tag team title. My bad.
Yeah, no. There is a heavyweight tag team title. Going into Wrestle Kingdom, there was no reason to care about it because it was Killer Elite Squad that held it, and those two guys can fuck off because they're boring as hell. But now that Evil and Sonata are holding it, I expect interest will start firing up again, and they'll start paying more attention to those belts. But yeah, that is New Beginning in Sapporo all wrapped up.
I did see that finale as well. So if you guys don't mind, I'd love to get my 2 cents in. I mean,
we're done talking about it forever.
We've already talked about it. We're past it.
Cool.
Go ahead, Adam.
So there's got to be fallout though, too, right? I mean, even if Kenny's out or in or whatever he is, I mean, we have to see some sort of Bullet Club versus Kenny and Kota before any sort of tag team stuff is going to happen, right?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, I could like there's 2 directions I could see them going in, like, and to me they both make sense. One is Kenny versus Cody.
Yes,
I mean, I think that has to happen.
That absolutely has to happen, just for the sake of the talent involved.
Yeah. But the other matchup that I could easily see is Young Bucks versus Kenny and Ibushi.
That's true. I mean, I don't understand.
I don't think they do that on a New Japan card. Unless it's a never match, they don't tend to cross those lines between junior and heavyweight all that often. Like you'll see people go from being juniors to being heavyweights without a whole lot of fanfare, but you don't see that kind of mix in a match. Again, not unless it's a never open weight match.
Explain, could you, what the title difference is? Like, is it a weight class thing?
Yes.
Then why couldn't they face the Young Bucks? I mean, they're all pretty much the same.
Kenny and Ibushi are heavyweights.
What's the weight? What's the weight that determines that?
There's not one published. The commonly accepted is like 225.
Oh.
They don't have a a hard line between like 205 for the cruiserweights or whatever the X division was, but
Wasn't about weight limits, man. It's about no limits.
Yeah, but
but in New Japan they definitely acknowledge those limits.
No,
I don't know,
was
dude,
just
because
pointing out the line that they made.
Ibushi is not 220.
Yeah, but he is a heavyweight. He competes against heavyweights.
It's Japan, man. That's just how
It's
they
crazy.
do things. It's not like here, okay? They got
Yeah, like once they
far
start
more
going
advanced
after
things.
heavyweight titles, that distinction changes for them. They are booked against other heavyweights. They are heavyweights.
I don't know. I mean, to me, that doesn't sound like it's a weight thing. Then that sounds like it's a status.
I mean,
It's very much a kayfabe thing because Taguchi is classified as a junior, but he is so much heavier than any junior there on the roster. Like, once you become a veteran, you kind of decide where you compete. Like Liger and Tiger Mask, they're also like not juniors. Like they wouldn't be in the cruiserweight division, they wouldn't be in the X division, but that's where they made their mark. That's where people remember them. That's where, you know, they kind of help other juniors, or like that's where they compete. But unless it's one of those 10-man schmozzes or a neverweight open title match, they don't fight other heavyweights.
well, before we get super, tied up in this conversation for another half an hour, back to the potential fantasy booking of this. I mean, I don't necessarily. There's so many unknowns to this. I don't know if it's outright that the Bucks and Kenny are completely done either. They may have a match to work that out. They may just work it out, behind the scenes or what have you. But I don't. I think they're going to kind of play with that a little bit longer. I still think, though, regardless of anything else that happens, Cody versus Kenny has to happen, right? That has to happen at some point, I think.
It could happen in New Japan. Personally, I think much more of this is going to play out in Ring of Honor, just because it is so Gaijin centric, so English audience centric. Because I don't see the Tongan contingent having any patience for any of this bullshit. Like Yujiro, Chase Owens, Bad Luck Fale, Tamatanga, like, I don't see them having a dog in any of this fight. So I think Bullet Club business is going to continue much as it has been. Cody might step up as a new leader, maybe not, but I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of reprisals against Kenny in the New Japan product.
Oh,
proper.
I mean, sure, that's fine. I'm not saying the entire Bullet Club's going to come down on Kenny, but I don't think the business even. And if it happens in ROH, I mean, that's fine. I just think the match needs to happen for their narrative anywhere, really. But I
Sure.
feel that there is some business personally between Kenny and Cody, and whatever involvement the rest of the Bullet Club has with that or not is kind of irrelevant to me, because I just really want to fucking see that match, to be honest. And if they do several over the course of the next several months too, I'm not opposed to that either. But I think it needs to happen.
Yeah, and I'm not discounting the possibility that we won't see Kenny versus Cody at like Wrestling Dontaku or another one of the big shows, but yeah, I that you also can't have that without having other Bullet Club members involved. Like Hangman Page is tied up right in there. Marty Scurll is tied up right in there. And I think that's why you have to have perhaps all but the final conclusion between Kenny and Cody in Ring of Honor.
It's entirely possible.
But unless anybody has anything else on New Beginning or New Japan in general, then I think that wraps up discussion on that and transitions us into NXT TakeOver. So here is the match results from that evening. You had Velveteen Dream defeat Cassius Ohno. Aleister Black went over Adam Cole in the Extreme Rules match. Ember Moon retained somehow against Shayna Baszler in the NXT Women's Championship match. The Undisputed retained the NXT Tag Team titles against AOP, thus blocking their attempt at becoming two-time champs. Andrade Cien Almas retained the NXT Championship despite interference from Gargano's wife, Candice LeRae. Technically, still a fan.
Who's officially, that's actually something I feel like I should have put in the news. She's officially signed by NXT, as they said numerous times over this broadcast.
Well, yeah, we talked about it in the news like a couple weeks ago when she got signed along with War Machine. And
I
Ricochet.
didn't realize she was in that group.
Yeah, she actually was. It's like might be one of the most iconic group of signings the NXT, the WWE's ever made to the PC.
Even though arguably Candice has been there for like 6 months now.
I mean, yeah.
But whatever, I'm not bitter. It's fine. It happened.
Real quick, what was everybody's match of the night?
Well, I mean, it kind of sort of has to be the main event. Almas versus Gargano. I believe that.
Does it though?
Well,
because I mean, Velveteen Dream did knock out KO.
Hey, no, I'm with you. I'm all over that match for sure. It's just that if we're going by internet rules here, and the fact that I don't know if the official star rating has been released, but the rumor was it was going to be a 5-star.
Well, I don't know how much can sway over this show Meltzer even has, to be honest. But I would agree, honestly. I really liked the Dream and Ono match. And seeing if Dream had ended the match with that knockout, just for the spectacle of it, obviously not for the technical wrestling talent of that match, then it may rank even higher. But considering he knocked Ono out and then proceeded to not follow up with a pin, that kind of has a little bit of points marked down for me. And then also proceeded.
You don't pin people in a boxing match.
It wasn't a boxing match. It was clearly a wrestling match, and I know what he said. I know what he said about like I'm gonna knock him out in the first 30 seconds, which I would agree that was a technical knockout. Unfortunately, the rules were not specifying a knockout ends in a victory, and so Dream in turn also got knocked the fuck out like around another 30 seconds. And all of that is honestly awesome. It makes for a great, entertaining match. However,
Garvin, I don't think Adam got the memo that was a 2 out of 3 falls match.
Wasn't I
like Dream very clearly won the first fall.
Oh, yeah, right. But
okay, cool. That literally threw me. I'm like, I literally didn't get that memo.
Though, there is a difference between a knockdown and a knockout. I mean,
he was done.
Ono was back on his feet.
That was a technical knockout. If that was in a boxing or UFC match, I'm pretty sure the ref would have stopped it.
No, he would have counted to 10.
Counted like he should have.
He would have counted to 10, and if Ono said he could still go, then he would still go.
Okay,
that's how boxing works.
It does kind of depend on the ref too, but sure. All that.
If it ended right there, I would still feel as good about that match.
Yeah,
I would too.
That's also what I'm trying to say. But all that said, Almas versus Gargano was just so fucking technically good from start to finish. So many fucking great moves. A lot of like just dripping with story and character development and fucking Selena Vega getting involved in several moments and still not being able to put it's just the classic fucking wrestling underdog story. And I think they played it to an absolute T. So I'm going to have to give my match of the night to the main event as well.
I think maybe I'd feel more like you do if I hadn't seen Tanahashi and Suzuki so soon earlier. Because I feel like Tana did Gargano stick better in that match. I don't want to take anything away from Almas and Gargano. That was a very good match they put on. I don't know that I would call that my match of the night. Like, as entertained as I was by both that and by Dream versus Ono, I think I'd give my match of the night to the tag team title match. Because that was all kinds of fun to watch.
Really good.
I love just the the technical sleazy pervert angle that Fish and O'Reilly have going. I love just AOP's brand of unbridled dominance. And the way they turn the Super Collider around to wrap the match and retain the titles, I thought that was very cool.
I mean, let's be honest. It's NXT. You could put all 5 of these matches up on a dartboard and, just take a stab at it.
Not the women's title match. Not in the slightest.
I like the women's title match, to be honest.
I liked it as well.
I thought it served its purpose at the very least.
That was very poorly constructed. Because you have Shayna take her first shot against Ember for the title, and you have her booked as this technical badass, this straight up killer that came in from MMA, and the finish is Ember rolling around for 5 minutes, trapped in an armbar.
The pinfall was suspect for sure, but I thought the rest of it was fine. I think that's the only thing that hurt it for me was that it just ended the way it did. Like there was like no energy to that. There was no fight to even try to get out of the pin by Shayna. It just seemed odd.
Pinfall,
but
maybe.
The match itself, I thought was good.
Pinfall, maybe. I didn't mind Ember being locked in a submission for as long as she was. I think that is kind of a lost art that harkens back to like Angle versus Benoit or Angle versus Jericho or Jericho versus Benoit, where it's a submission.
Or Suzuki versus Tanahashi.
Yeah, it's a battle of submissions throughout the whole match, and each time they get locked in, obviously I wish they would have played that a little more throughout the whole match. Each time they get locked in, it's a little bit closer to them tapping. I remember a match between Angle and Kane on a random SmackDown back in the early aughts, where I think Kane spent most of the 10 minutes of that match locked in the ankle lock, and to me, Angle eventually won. He forced Kane to tap, but it fucking elevated both stars because it showed just how much. Obviously, Kane is a big old monster, so you would expect he'd have some resistance to submissions, and yet Angle was still able to make him tap because he's such a technical specialist, and that's what it took. It took that long to get him to do that. So I felt shades of that. I don't feel like they quite hit the same note that Angle and Kane did all those years back, but I still didn't mind it. I thought it was a good strategic thing that made sense for Shayna to do. The pinfall itself, it may have left something to be desired, but at the same time, I think it was well enough done. Even the poorest match on this card is still a really good match.
My problem is that I saw this match 3 times already between Sonya Deville and Ruby Riott, and all 3 of those matches were better. And there was no title on the line. Sonya Deville is not the fighter that Shayna Baszler is. I don't know. I feel like you stack it up against anything in a similar vein, and it's just not as well put together. I think given time, this program could have gone somewhere good. And like I just don't think there was any thought put into it. Like, this was Shayna's first title shot. This was Ember's first real title defense. And like, this is what they gave us?
If you had to put the blame
for a takeover?
Like, if you had to put the blame on someone, who would you blame it on? As far as why you feel the way you do?
I don't know, because I don't feel like blame lies overly much with any one person. Honestly, I feel like creative fucked up in booking this at all. Like, Ember, she hasn't really impressed me with how she's portrayed her character of late. Namely in that she doesn't seem to have one. Yeah, she's the fiery wizard, but I got that from day one. Like, what has she shown as she's continued pushing against Asuka and then failing and then eventually becoming women's champion? Like, she's still the same person. With Shayna Baszler, like, I haven't seen any exposition on who she is since the Mae Young Classic. All I know is that she's willing to hurt people that are much less experienced, much lower on the card than her in order to get a title shot. And that she can intimidate management into giving her one, because apparently that's what happened. But other than that, I didn't really get anything of substance.
Was that how the match was booked? I thought Ember accepted it after getting pissed that she went after. I don't remember her name. Broke her arm in kayfabe, I think.
Dakota Kai?
Yeah. I thought Ember Moon like basically made the challenge then. I could be wrong. My memory's not the best. But
I didn't remember that. I remember there being a promo where Ember Moon said, "I'm going to beat your ass." I don't recall her saying that she accepted the challenge there, but I don't remember the preceding NXT all that well. There's been so much wrestling in the last week that I kind of overloaded. But, you know, we had that moment where Regal confronted Shayna backstage that I know what you're doing. I'm wise to your games. You're not going to get a title shot this way. And then she proceeded to get one. And it's like, I don't remember there being that much exposition on why she got it other than what she was doing got her the title shot. Yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't impressed by this match.
I will also say that I don't want Ember to do that kind of like fake out my arm is completely twisted back thing anymore, because that was horrifying and I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's not that body horror aspect that makes me agree with you. I just think that spot is weird. I don't know. I just have a hard time figuring out why that put Dakota Kai on the shelf, but it didn't put Ember Moon on the shelf.
Well, obviously, she's higher on the card.
yeah, she's a heavyweight.
Sure.
Yeah, I think she's a
okay.
So.
Yeah, it's just that seems to be the only reason why, and there's just like no storyline analog to that. That's maybe if they went into her character more, like, you know, brought aspects of that fiery wizard to the fore, like display that she has a reserve, a you know, like they did with Balor in the Dark Passenger thing. Like just something to kind of explain that away. I don't know. I think I'd have been more okay with that spot, but then again, that spot, why would you set that up if you can just break it in an arm breaker? Like, you're an MMA fighter. You're like, you know 100 different ways to snap somebody's arm like a twig. Like, play that aspect up.
Well, yeah, but it just didn't seem like that was her MO. Like, that was her MO to get to that stage. But the story that I got from it is that she was just trying to make this as painful as possible. Not get a quick win by, you know, causing like long-term quick damage, you know.
Yeah, but wasn't the angle that she broke Dakota Kai's arm with that kick?
Well, right. Well, yeah, I'm saying that was definitely her MO up to that match, but I'm just saying like the story of that match was not equivalent, I guess. I mean, you're right. Overall, that spot, it should have caused more damage. It should have made her unable to continue in the match, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and like that's part of my issue with that match is that the narrative they were telling is just so inconsistent with what had come before, like what little had come before. Like they didn't really have that much going into it, and then they just ignored it. Like she didn't even attempt to use her finisher until after the match when she attacked Ember from behind. Like, why? You're locking her in a hold for 5 minutes. Why not use your finisher? I don't know. But what did you guys think of the Extreme Rules match?
I dug it.
That chair spot was brutal.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
The two backs of the chair, you mean?
Yeah, why? Why
yeah.
do that?
CZ fucking W, that's why. That's the only thing I can figure. Like, they're in Philly. That's where Adam Cole was brought up. Like, I don't know, man. DJ Hyde apparently had him bumping on concrete during his training, so I don't know how that stacks up, but like that feels equivalent in my mind. I don't know. I dug this spot where I don't remember who introduced the kendo sticks, but they each had one, and then Alistair tossed his away and told him to come on, and then Cole got like big old anime eyes, like, "Oh, you are so fucking stupid," and then swings on him. like that moment was pretty neat to me, and there were a few like that in there. I'm being told that is the Necro Butcher chair spot. I've never seen that before. Granted, I am not a student of Necro Butcher, but
Yeah, he basically just
like that
slams people on the edges of chairs.
Yeah, because when he first set that up, I'm like, okay, TNA chair spot. All right, that is sufficiently brutal. I've seen Bram and James Storm do it dozens of times, and then he turned him around like, oh shit!
Pretty sure that was the reaction for everyone. I also like the double knees into the announce table. I thought that was pretty slick.
Yeah, like, I was a fan of most everything up until Sanity got involved.
That was odd. Odd. I don't know. Maybe they're prospecting again with Aleister Black. Why? I mean,
Maybe.
It was also recompense for Sanity having come out, or I'm sorry, the Undisputed Era having come out and beat the shit out of Sanity on the weekly show to not have to defend the titles against them. So it was kind of recompense for that as well. But it was weird. It, like at first glance, it was definitely kind of shocking and didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think I might have been more against that spot because I thought that Adam Cole should have won. And again, I think I'm more biased towards that opinion because I'm just not crazy about what Aleister Black is doing right now. But yeah, Adam Cole is lost in singles competition. He's lost the last few big matches he's had. Like he hasn't really been pulling his weight as a member of the Undisputed. And it kind of sucks. Like they brought him in as this big deal and he's done not much of anything. Like he won War Games, but you know, that was a team effort as much as anything.
I think it's kind of just right place, wrong time, possibly even wrong place, wrong time here. Just because for the narrative of their personal feud between Black and Cole, Cole had gotten the upper hand either through screwing with Black's matches or legitimately attacking him over the course of the month. And I think Black winning was just kind of more, all right, it's time to get my rub back, essentially. So at least for me personally, this feud sort of exists in a bubble up until, you know, we had resolution of the tag titles with, well, at the very least AOP. I think we still have some resolution that needs to be taken care of with Sanity. Once that happens and transpires and they are kind of booked more like a unit rather than a tag team and a singles competitor that just happened to come out at the same time on occasion, I think Adam Cole will have a more prominent, dominant kind of, I didn't mean to rhyme there, but I did, a dominant showing. So.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think I'm just ready for Adam Cole to start winning and earn back some of that smugness.
Yeah, I'm not into him. And I think it is because he's kind of like, I don't know, wallowed in nothing, it feels like. Like I you know, I don't really have a whole lot of experience with him. I'm obviously aware of his name and his catchphrase, and I've seen little bits and pieces of him. But he came in with a lot of hype, and I'm ready to actually see if that hype was worth it.
That's kind of why I was a little bit hoping for a Gargano NXT title win, because I think that would have been the perfect, like, obviously, you know, the things happened after the show, but if it was just going to be a Gargano title reign that went on for a little while before Ciampa's recompense and Looming Shadow finally took its shot. If that was how the story was going to go, I think that would have been perfect to run him up against Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era. He can still go against Almost, but I feel like Almost sort of has to at least go to, you know, the kind of gray area, if not straight out face against Cole. I suppose you can kind of have Cole be like a sort of counterculture-y face type, but that doesn't seem to be the direction that NXT is taking with the Undisputed Era so far. And I think it would be kind of a jarring transition if they do go that way now. So,
If anybody's going to start turning, it's going to be Almas, because like, Los lives in that gray area.
Sure, I think the thing that keeps him pretty rooted in heel tactics is Selena Vega. So I don't know, maybe if he splits from her, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
He could do that with Selena there. Like, he doesn't need her to win his matches.
No, but she definitely helps. You know.
Yeah, but she's flexible enough that she can turn right along with.
I suppose it seems like she's pretty hard line heel right now. So I don't know. I think it would take some time at the very least. I wouldn't want to see it like done in one show, basically.
Yeah, that turn is not going to happen overnight, not by any stretch of imagination. If only because they did push so hard for Almas to be an asshole after he won the title. But yeah,
he did get a good pop at the Rumble. So,
Is there anything else that needs to be discussed from Takeover?
I guess more Cassius Ohno kind of lamentation. I still really want to root for him, but I kind of feel he's just continuing a downward spiral, and that's kind of a shame to me.
I don't think he's spiraling. I think he's just the gatekeeper.
Yeah, that's definitely not the role I was hoping to see him in, but suppose, I mean, it still gets you a paycheck, so it's not all bad.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing what he loves. Like, he's wrestling and he's teaching people. He's helping people along.
I mean, you could kind of make that argument of almost every wrestler.
Like, Ono has been such a mentor to so many people. Like, that's part of why he left W in the first place. Is like the actual paid trainers were feeling threatened by people going to him for advice instead of them. Because the dude has been everywhere. He's done everything.
Sure.
And I really need to watch that documentary that they released on him, but that just confirms it. Like, he's just such a big brother to everybody there. Everybody's come into contact with.
Sure. I don't know. I'd like to see him get a run, if that's at all in the cards.
Yeah. All right, then I think we're going to wrap up Takeover discussion and move on to the Royal Rumble. So, for the match results, we had AJ Styles retaining in controversial fashion against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan lost the tag team titles to The Bar because they definitely need another run. The Usos retained the SmackDown Tag Team Championships against American Alpha II because why not? Brock Lesnar retained the Universal Championship against Braun Strowman and Kane. Shinsuke Nakamura won the Men's Rumble, and Asuka won the Women's Rumble. So, what would you call your match of the night?
I mean, I feel like it has to be one of the Rumbles. I personally enjoyed the Men's Rumble just a tad more, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I hated the Women's Rumble. I thought it was also very good. And the rest of the undercard just didn't really do it super for me. Like AJ Styles versus Owens and Zayn wasn't terrible, but I don't know. I don't feel like I'm going to remember it in a month. And I think that kind of goes for most of the other matches. The Usos winning was kind of a shock. I didn't expect them to blow through American Alpha that quickly, but
yeah, man,
sure.
2-0.
For it all.
Oh God,
sure.
That
was kind of lame. Lesnar, Strowman, Kane just in some ways was a car wreck in a good way, but most of the time was pretty meh for me. Possibly the laziest like standing table in the corner spot I think I've ever seen in my entire wrestling fandom. I did like that Brock gave turned the table, so to speak, on Strowman and gave him back his "I'm gonna flip a announce table on top of you" thing in kind from back in what was that, SummerSlam, Battleground, whenever the last time. Yeah, but
remember.
Whatever. He did the same thing Braun did to him last time, so that was kind of cool. I like that callback.
Yeah.
Outside of that, though, like I mean, I think I'm gonna pick the Men's Rumble for myself. I really thought that Rumble was good. You know, when I realized that it was going to be second, third match on the card, you know, I kind of groaned. But by the end of it, you know, I was looking to my friends that I was watching with, and I was like, you know, that felt like a legitimate Rumble, like despite where on the card it was placed. Past Rumbles that have been booked early for the sake of the main event or other spectacle things that they're going to do at the end of the show have felt a little lesser because they've been put higher on the card. But this one didn't. This one felt really, really just booked well, I think. I marked like a little bitch for the Hurricane. I know other people weren't as happy to see it as I was, but I don't care. I've always been a huge Hurricane mark. I fucking love superheroes and I love seeing them in wrestling. So that was a cool little callback. I liked all the other, you know, surprises. I liked that they kind of dipped into the NXT well instead of just pulling out some random legend or Hall of Famer that's pretty much just going to walk in the ring and get eliminated. So yeah, I thought it was a very good Rumble.
I think my only issue with the NXT call-ups is that they weren't call-ups. They were just one-offs.
Well, yeah, I don't mean like they're on the main roster, but I would rather them...
But I think I would have preferred if it was someone debuting on the main roster.
I guess.
I mean, Almas was great. You know, don't get me wrong. Like seeing Almas in that match, I think was good. It was definitely good for him.
Yeah, almost went half an hour.
Yeah,
that's true. I don't mind it as much for something like the Rumble. You know, if it was like anything else, literally anything else. But the Rumble, I think, is chaotic enough that I think you can get away with it. It's not too damaging for the superstars.
And I looked at it much the same way that you do with the legends. Like you don't expect them to stick around.
Speaking of legends, though, dude, Rey Mysterio looks awesome. Like,
yeah, he does.
He is in the best shape of that I've seen probably in the last 10 years.
I'm a little conflicted about it, to be honest. I mean, he is in great shape.
Well, I mean,
conflicted about that.
I mean, yes, he should be still locked in the cell next to Matanza. I understand. I'm with you there.
Yeah. Like, and that's the thing. Has that been confirmed? Do you guys know about that? Is he signed full time, or is it just?
No. I haven't seen anything official, so I imagine it was just a one-off.
Okay, then I'm much happier about it.
I hope he's back full time with WWE.
If he's in that shape, I'm not totally against it. But at the same time, if he's in that shape, I want to see him in Lucha. Just because, you know, especially with like Puma gone, you need like a top guy there.
Not just that, but I also think
I'm not bothered about that.
I also think he's going to be treated better in Lucha. I think he's just going to go back to being like,
really?
yeah. I think he's just going to go back to being babyface number 3, essentially, just like he was before he left and was actually on camera for WWE. I mean, they really only want him for merch sales. Just like they want Jeff Hardy, just like they want John Cena and everyone else. You know, I don't think they could give him any.
When they had that 3-on-3 standoff in the Rumble and they stuck him next to Cena and Orton.
Sure. I mean, it's the old guard.
I don't think that's indicative of their past attitude on him.
And also keep in mind, like, you know, his later years in WWE, like he was wearing the full body suit, so you couldn't see his how large he had become in his midsection.
He was battling nagging injuries.
Yeah, we saw.
Well, yeah, no. I'm not saying he didn't look good. That's a given. I'm saying how is WWE going to treat him? Because regardless of nagging injuries, they treated him like shit for years. They just trotted him out there just because. Again, they wanted to sell lucha masks and show off, you know, bright colors to the kids and all that shit.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And I think maybe we get a fleeting run for a couple months, but I think it's just going to go back to that status quo eventually. Whereas he's getting interesting stories in Lucha Underground, like where he's able to express himself creatively as a character, I think, where I don't think he's going to get that in WWE personally.
I think he'd get that so much more in WWE than in Lucha Underground.
He'd get more money in WWE, but I think he
but
can
in
have a
Lucha
better
Underground,
story.
the writers for the most part aren't like wrestling writers. They're Hollywood guys. And you've got a whole bunch of Hollywood guys in WWE, but like that's Vince. And like, when you're a veteran the way Mysterio is, you've got a lot more pull. Mysterio doesn't have that pull with the TV execs. Not for Lucha.
I really can't speak on that because my knowledge of the background of Lucha Underground, I try to stay out of that. But I will say, from my perspective, being as big of a Lucha Underground fan as I am, I personally would much rather see him in Lucha Underground than in WWE. I think WWE, I'm leaning towards where Adam is going. I think the difference here is that because of how good of in shape he is and the reaction that he got and how well he did in this match, that, well, not did, but looked, I think that could catapult him into a better situation than what we've, unfortunately been accustomed to in WWE. But it's still, as far as everything I've read, it's a one-time deal.
Well, and sure, like, I'm not going to say that the possibility isn't there and that WWE has only treated him like shit for the entirety of his tenure there. I mean, they made a big deal out of him when he very first debuted in WWE, and they gave him fairly prominent things to do for a good 5 to 10 years, but I don't know, man. Considering I feel how sour he was on WWE when he left, and how much I think a lot of that, not just for the time off, which I think also very much helped, but I think for a lot of the reasoning why he looked good was because of what he got to do in Lucha Underground. Not only did he get to rest, but I think he got to, again, creatively explore things with his character that WWE was never going to give him the chance on. He rarely ever even got on the mic, to cut a promo. It was just, hey, look, here's Rey Mysterio. There he is. And that was that. And I just think that got really stagnant for him after a while. And I think I personally think, and this is purely my own speculation, that he is going to be a lot happier spending time in Lucha Underground in the long run than he is in WWE.
I don't think Lucha Underground has a long run, but I mean,
yeah, of course it does. Come on,
right?
Shut up.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Freaking season 4 is coming, man.
If you couldn't kill TNA,
5.
if you couldn't kill TNA for all that time, then you can't.
It's still
kill
alive, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. We'll see. Yeah, I would have to agree with you guys. I think the men's rumble was my favorite match of the night as well. Aside from Matt Hardy's entire run in the rumble, as well as Dolph Ziggler coming out at 30, that was a very well put together rumble. Honest to God, I don't know what Dolph Ziggler is still doing there.
that was a waste. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about the shitty things that happened on this pay-per-view, but that was top of the shittiness level for me. You have him leave on such a bombshell, I mean, it looks like they're actually going to give him a quality story, and then you finally bring him back, and it's all right, he's going to prove what he's been saying for so long, and then he loses, and as quickly as he did.
As quickly as he did was surprising. I was not surprised that he didn't win the Rumble. I do agree, though. I think it was a waste. I don't know if I would necessarily say that whatever story they were doing with him was interesting. I mean, sure, it got everyone, including us, talking, but it was more confusing to me throughout this continued run than it was intriguing. It wasn't oh, I want to see where this goes. It was I wonder where this is going for me. So I don't think they really have solid plans for the direction. I think at this point, Ziggler's just riding out his contract. And it's just yeah, whatever you want me to do. Fuck it. I don't care. And I mean, I'll say this: I thought, like, to your guys' point about Ray, I thought Ziggler looked a lot better than he has in probably a year and a half or so. He looked.
I didn't see.
I mean,
change,
he looked, I think, more invigorated, and some of those super kicks looked fucking brutal. So I appreciated that. But yeah, I don't know. I think ultimately it was a waste, but I wasn't surprised.
Yeah, I've stopped expecting anything from the 30th spot because that's just been such a letdown every time over the last 5 or 6 years that, fuck it. By then, the people I'm interested in have already gotten in, and they're just going to waste that spot anyway. Matt Hardy's spot was really weird, and I really wound up presenting it because he eliminated Rusev, only to then have him and Bray eliminate each other. And in the intervening space, like, they actually teamed up with each other, which really annoyed me. Because none of that makes any fucking sense. Like, they are literally in a war with each other, and then they start teaming up, and the war hasn't ended. Like, there was no conclusion. It's ongoing, but they decided to team up and eliminate Rusev for no reason, because Rusev is the most over man in that arena. I don't get it. None of this makes sense. None of this is working.
Well, I mean, we've seen this spot before. Not necessarily the, split second friendship thing before taking each other out. I'm not totally against how they were eliminated. I think, yeah, you're right. I mean, I think the only thing that bothered me was that there was like this small glimpse of, hey, they could work together, but not really. It was odd. But
I might be more interested in that possibility if it didn't come at the expense of Rusev.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I will say I'm also kind of disappointed if they're setting up some kind of strange Bedfellows team, because they fucking should have done it with Finn. But whatever.
Nope.
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, outside of those two entrants, I don't think they really did anything bad. Looking back at the entirety of the Philadelphia stint, I feel like maybe Cena shouldn't have eliminated Balor. I think maybe it should have been the other way around, considering who's going to Elimination Chamber and who's not. But I don't think that was a bad move. Same with Almas getting eliminated by Orton. Like, would I have preferred it to be the other way around? Absolutely, of course. But it's the Rumble. Almas is an NXT guy
and champion.
Frankly, I'm surprised they gave him as much time as they did. And Orton, despite all his flaws, he is still a 13-time world champion. So, as eliminators go, you could do worse.
And, I mean, to me, it doesn't really detract away from anything. Almas was in there for almost 30 minutes. So, yeah, we got a good view of him. Orton or Cena or Reigns doing anything is definitely always annoying, but I don't think it hurt at this point.
Well, and I think they're definitely playing with it now, because I was definitely on the edge of my seat by the Final Four, begging the fucking wrestling gods to please allow either Shinsuke or Finn to be the sole survivor, and not Cena or Reigns again. So I think they definitely did a good job playing with those expectations, and like, are they going to try and be dicks about it again and shit the bed with another Royal Rumble or not? And I think they did that very well. It definitely, I think, rose Shinsuke's stock quite a bit in my eyes. And, despite his booking, I still look at Shinsuke as a big deal, and this, to me, I think, really put him on the upper echelon. That finally kind of shook off a lot of the, dregs from his feud with Jinder and some of his other missteps with some of the other competitors on SmackDown and whatnot. And, I thought he looked good by the end of the match.
Yeah, I appreciated the comedy spots that they had in there. Like, Kofi did his thing as per usual. He avoided elimination by landing with one foot on Xavier Woods, And eventually Big E transferred that to a plate of pancakes.
What is up with that?
Yeah.
I think I missed the boat on the pancakes. Was that a reference to something or?
No, they've been doing the pancake thing for months
Okay.
now.
I don't think
they
I've
just
ever
started
picked up
doing
on
it.
that, apparently.
Yeah, they just started doing it. But mostly it's like a outside the ring thing where they're just throwing pancakes at Graves.
Yeah, they replaced the Bootios with
Oh, I
pancakes.
see.
Yeah,
Okay.
They've also started assaulting Corey Graves with them.
which is hilarious.
The second week of the mixed match challenge, when Big E and Carmella came out, like they cut the camera to the commentators standing outside the ring. Corey Graves had pancakes stacked on top of his head by Big E.
Did Big E?
And yeah,
Sorry,
like in this Rumble spot, Jinder had previously eliminated Big E and Xavier, and Kofi's trying to figure out a way back in, and Jinder is keeping him out, and like they vault him over Jinder. Kofi then eliminates Jinder, and then Xavier and Big E start pelting him with pancakes. Like that was fantastic.
Can I also say that it looked beautiful too, like from a technical standpoint? As we almost always say with a lot of Kofi's hijinks getting back into the ring, a million things could go wrong, but that was like perfect. Like he cleared Jinder. He didn't even like accidentally bonk him in the head with a foot or like trip over his shoulder or something like that. It was just beautiful.
Kofi Kingston is the greatest of all time.
Yeah, he did seem very impressed with himself after that.
I would be.
Yeah.
And then there was Heath Slater's contribution.
I was going to say, did Big E feed him a crotch sandwich, or was that another pancake? It was hard to tell.
No, that was pancakes, and it wasn't from the crotch. Like it was from a special container inside the singlet.
Yeah, keep telling yourself that.
But yeah, like ever since Corbin took Slater out, and every single person that came after, like gave him a parting kick on the ramp, and then Bray Wyatt's coming down the ramp, and he's crawling toward the ring. No, don't let it take me, and then he gets smacked anyway. And then Sheamus throws him inside the ring to destroy him, and immediately gets eliminated. Like I love that.
I love the commentary too. At least he'll be fresh for the tag match. Silver lining.
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah. I was surprised they had everybody but Jordan in the Rumble, like especially since it went as long as it did. Like if it was going to be a short match because of Jordan, like then I could see them getting time in like reasonable time in the Rumble, like Cesaro and Rollins, if only them. But yeah, like that threw me.
Sure. How about
the only other comment that I have about the Rumble is it just felt oddly booked versus like historical. Like usually like you've got your like a large number of people in the middle, close to the end. But it seemed very early on that we had like pretty much everyone in for a long period of time. So like Sheamus, he was the 11th entrant. He was the third to be eliminated. So at all times they had like, between 8-9 guys in there, which I thought was just it was strange. It was strange that it was always so chaotic.
Yeah, and they didn't really have a monster spot either. Probably because all the guys that count as monsters were booked in the Universal match. But yeah, I can't remember a Rumble that didn't have that. Overall, this just felt fun.
Yeah,
like no expectations of history. Nobody trying to break any records. This just felt fun.
And the right guy went over.
Yeah. Well, I was disagreeing with you guys prior to this, so when we were previewing, I picked Balor.
Because you're wrong.
Yeah, I will admit I was wrong. Balor did last almost an hour, which was cool to see.
Sure. I wouldn't be mad if Balor won either.
Yeah, now
no.
Now that we know for sure that it's Shinsuke versus AJ, I think that's fantastic. So I'm all for this. I am kind of scared on what they're gonna do with Balor, especially after this week's Raw.
Yeah, I mean, with Balor not being in the Elimination Chamber, I have to imagine that Wait, is it specifically said that the winner of the Elimination Chamber goes on to fight
Yes.
the champ at Mania?
Yeah, it's going on to fight Lesnar at Mania.
Man, fuck that.
I mean, there's a possibility that Balor still finds his way in. There's been many precedents set for them doing that in years past. So, I mean, that's basically the only hope I'm holding out to. Otherwise, probably some random 6-man match with fucking Gallows and Anderson at his side is the best he can look forward to at Mania.
I have to hope that he finds another way in, because
Same. I'm right there with you, man.
Braun, Elias, or Cena as the challengers doesn't excite me.
Not at all. And probably Reigns, I'm guessing.
Probably.
And I don't know, like maybe Seth, maybe Miz. That's about it.
I would be surprised if Seth wasn't in contention. Because with Jordan's injury, I don't see him going after the tag titles again. Yeah, I have to hope.
I agree. If it ends up being Roman, Seth, Balor, like that's pretty cool. I still don't think Balor's going to win, but I think he deserves to be in the Elimination Chamber match at the very least. Yeah.
I strongly feel that he needs to be the guy to take the title from Brock Lesnar. Like, Braun as champ would be fun, but, you know, he had his shot.
And
I'm not opposed to him getting a shot down the line.
You can still do that with Balor.
I think it has to be Balor.
I agree. Yeah. I still have just a dark, foreboding shadow over Mania that the rumors from last year are true, that they're going to do Reigns versus Brock again, to the fucking groan of everyone.
If it wasn't for Balor getting robbed on so many occasions, I would not be opposed to that match. I would prefer Reigns versus Brock over Braun versus Brock. But I absolutely need to see Balor do that. I need that in my soul.
Yeah, I mean, it's a marquee match. It books itself. The Demon versus the Beast.
What about the Women's Rumble? I thought this was good. Like, for the first of its kind, it definitely wasn't anything to sneeze at. I did feel like it suffered just because they did so many obvious things to, like, set those record book bars high. Like with Michelle McCool getting the most eliminations in the match.
Yeah, right.
Like, sure, she's the Undertaker's wife, but, like, calling her one of the best pure athletes in WWE history is
a stretch.
A real stretch. And she didn't even look that good. Like, when she got into the ring, like, she almost fell over trying to kick somebody. Like, I feel like you could have given that nod to somebody else.
I think if you're going to have McCool come in, you should have gone full bore. Lay cool, iconic duo, have that little moment, and then move on. Eliminate all four of them at that point if you really want to. But that was, I think, what she could have done to heighten, I guess, her to maximize her minutes in the Rumble. I think that's, you know, outside of kayfabe, what she could have done to essentially help the business after being away from the ring so long. Outside of that, like, just, yeah, I mean, because she was never really a strong singles competitor, you know. She was more often with Laycool than she wasn't. So,
I mean, she was a multi-time diva.
Yeah,
Divas champ, right? Before
Laycool? I don't know about before. I think she might have had it once, maybe twice, if that counts as multi-time. But most of her reigns were usually because Layla was around to help her out.
I'm looking into this. She's only held the women's championship twice.
Oh, okay. So she has held that belt. I thought she was only Divas.
She held the title twice. And then, yeah, she held the title, the Divas championship twice. She was also Diva of the Year in 2010, according to the Slammy Awards.
Sweet.
Okay.
So you got to consider that.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
I'm not as harsh on this, on her involvement in this match. I thought she looked pretty good, considering she's not wrestled in.
I mean, I don't think she looked terrible. You know, I just,
I think compared to other people that came back, I think she looked poorly.
I just don't like the idea of just giving her Michelle McCool. That's it. The most eliminations thing. That's that. Everything else, I mean, if she was just going to show up as a participant in the Rumble and get eliminated like most of the other veteran or legend participants, I'd be fine with that. But I think her best thing that she could have done was give the Iconic Duo a rub. And then that would have been nice. Unfortunately,
To be fair,
it's not nice.
Does the amount of eliminations really matter to you guys? Like, I know it's
To us or at all?
to you guys.
I mean, it does. It's one of the marquee things they say in the By the Numbers video. So
Right.
I think it matters.
I think it serves to help make somebody
Yeah.
look dominant. Like, it should absolutely have been Nia Jax.
At least Tamina, if not Nia Jax.
Yeah, because, I mean, looking at the stats here, Nia Jax had 4 eliminations. Michelle McCool, I don't see why or how she should be eliminating all those people. Like, not after so long away.
Because no one wanted to deal with the wrath of the Undertaker.
Yeah, take her rub there. Yeah, you know what though? I mean, we really shouldn't be focusing as much time on these one-off things.
I mean,
there was quite a bit of other good stuff. The Nia Jax stuff I thought was well done. I think she should have stayed in for a little longer, for sure.
She was in there almost 18 minutes.
Yeah, well, still. I mean, four eliminations. Like, yeah, I'm with you guys there. That it should have felt like she was more dominant, like clearing out the ring, kind of dominant.
Yeah, I wish she'd gotten more time with Beth.
Yeah,
because like if you're not gonna bring back Karma, then like Beth is the next Haas I can think of. And like, she's fought the men. She eliminated Great Khali. Like, that is absolutely somebody that Nia should be threatened by. And I'm not saying Beth should have eliminated Nia Jax or anything like that, but like just to see those two slug it out for a while, like, I thought that would have been cool. But elsewhere, like I think probably as expected, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch kicked things off.
Yeah.
Those are probably the best two you could trust to go start to finish. Because I can't really think of anybody else that's been in anything even remotely approaching an Iron Man style match. And the official time, at least as recorded by Wikipedia, for Sasha Banks is 54 minutes and 46 seconds. Like, that's longer than Finn was in. So good for her, I guess.
I personally was, at least, I mean, not to say that it was an impossible time frame for it to happen, but I was like 75 to 80% sure that Lita wasn't going to be in the Rumble, mainly because she was here in California on the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
And that, so I literally at one of our local trade and collectible shows where they do signings, I was literally standing 50 feet from her and saying like, yep, pretty sure she's not going to be there tomorrow. Lo and behold, how surprised I was to see that. So, I mean, impressed with the down low, I guess, that the swerve, I guess, that she placed upon me. So
yeah, especially since she wasn't there for Raw 25 when everybody else and
Yeah.
their mother was.
So that was
and
pretty
I
cool.
think she complained about that as well.
Yeah.
Which is probably
In retrospect, that probably was her working us. But,
I think so too.
you know, it's still for everybody else to be there and for her not to be there. Like, that's a pretty strong... Combine that with what she said about the company in the past. Like, you know, for all that to take place, and then she shows up at the Rumble. Like, that's definitely a huge surprise. But kind of on the other end, not of the spectrum, but on the end of the match, Trish Stratus is number 30. Kind of bucking that tradition of fuck
at
number
least
30.
for the last couple of years, because there was a time when I think in the men's Rumble that 30 was a big deal.
Yeah, but like that hasn't been the case for like 5 or 6 years.
Sure, but this is the first women's one, so they got a good 25 years before it becomes bullshit, right?
Sure.
I mean, at that point, I was like, it better be Trish. If they have this whole thing and Trish isn't in it, I'm not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, I think the main thing I was afraid of was they are going to put Ronda Rousey in at number 30. Because there is no God.
Yeah, personally, I was hoping for Nikki Cross at that point. But yeah, I mean, Trish was fine, I guess.
It's the first ever Rumble.
Dude, that was never going to happen.
Yeah, especially if the fucking rest of Sanity wasn't called up for the men's Rumble. Or at least one of them wasn't called up for the men's Rumble. I think Nikki Cross was kind of a long shot. I think the only, like, every other person that I had an inkling might show up, like, obviously Trish Lita, Beth Phoenix, Michelle McCool was kind of a surprise for me. Tori was a surprise. Couple of the others, Kelly, that was kind of
Kelly,
a shock.
yeah.
I was holding Jacqueline, also a big surprise. I was holding out hope that we might see Karma. I would have loved to see a standoff between her and Nia Jax, or Beth Phoenix, or like literally every other badass like booked to be a strong ass kicker fucking woman in the Rumble, but unfortunately that did not come to pass. I think it was, trying to remember whose music it was, but there was someone's music who kind of went real quiet at first, and I thought it was like setting up for like the creepy evil laughter and the fucking buzzsaw kind of chord progression of Karma's music, but it was not her, and I was very sad. But overall, like,
Vicky fucking
yes, oh my god.
Just to hear that countdown.
Excuse me. Like 15 times too. Like not even just once.
Yes.
Oh man, that was great. And then every woman just teaming up and eliminating her. Like that was fucking perfect.
By the way, how fucking dare Sasha Banks turn on her own mother like that? That is surprising.
Vicky
right.
was the only one.
She likes Eddie. Okay. I remember now.
Yeah.
Vicky is the only one that didn't last a minute. Everyone else has at least a minute and a half.
Yeah, frankly, I'm surprised she was in that one.
Yeah, me too.
She's never really been.
It was close to a minute.
Technical wrestling acumen.
For those that are unaware, Sasha Banks is like the biggest devotee of Eddie Guerrero, and with Vicky Guerrero being Eddie's wife, it would not surprise me for Sasha to think in her head that is legitimately her mother.
Sure.
Let's see.
Stephanie's commentary was atrocious. I think that kind of goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway.
But it wasn't as bad as we all expected.
It was 100% as bad as I expected it to be. Like every 5 seconds.
But she didn't.
Look at how historic this is.
Well, she didn't talk as often as I expected.
But every time she
did drive
opened her
that
mouth.
point.
Every time she opened her mouth, it was like the tool. Like I thought Michael Cole was a tool on commentary, but like it felt like she was literally holding a paper in front of her face. Becky Lynch is a tough competitor. She may win the Rumble too. We never know. Historicalness.
Yeah, with Cole, he has the excuse of being an actual tool, like Vince's mouthpiece. But with Stephanie, like she is not Vince's mouthpiece. Like she is supposed to have her own thoughts, and everything she said just kept beating that dead fucking horse. Like, this is such an historic match. Yep. We're going to be remembering this for years to come.
Yeah, but she believes that.
How iconic.
Yeah.
She believes that. She believes what she said.
You could tell even Cole, like, I mean, he didn't actually let it show in his commentary, but like there was subtle tones where like he's like, really, lady? Like, this is what you're giving me to work with? Like, come on, give me some emotion or something.
Yeah, it wasn't as offensive as I expected it to be, if only because there was, like, by volume, less commentary than I expected to be. But, yeah, she did not contribute anything to that. Or to the post-match.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, Ronda's music hits, and it's just like, I was not expecting this. I don't know what's going on here.
Oh, man.
Well, it was shot really poorly again.
that whole segment was done very
Yeah.
poorly, like in all aspects.
I always thought that whoever pointed at the WrestleMania sign was just lame, but man, Ronda took the cake. Like if you could have,
She's still
yeah,
playing.
like I mean, it was like it was like a less cool version of the like DX and NWO, like here comes this person kind of point.
It was a weird pose,
Yeah.
for sure. It was like a ballet pose almost.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good way of putting it.
But it was so like forced into place and then stuck there, and then there was like no movement.
Yeah.
It was
And she kept doing it.
It looked weird. Yeah, I think it would have come off better for me if I knew where they were going. Like if I had any kind of inkling that she's going to be competing in a one-on-one match, or she had any type of direction, but it's like she went after Asuka, and that threw me through a loop because I was like, there's no way it's going to be Ronda versus Asuka. That would be a heck of a match that I would actually like, but
I don't know.
I don't think that's the direction.
I'd expect Ronda versus Asuka to actually be a shoot fight,
and I would be okay with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed. I'm very happy though that Asuka just slapped her fucking hand away, because come on, guys, if Asuka's choice at the Rumble was to fight Rousey over either champion, like just fuck the women's divisions right in the ass, like immediately. Like that is just the worst. That is the absolute worst. Any sort of well-being that they might have earned for the last year and a half, instantly shot dead, I feel.
Phrasing aside, I am right there with you.
Yeah, I kind of had to commit at a certain point, so my apologies.
Yeah, I can't even conceive of a situation where like somebody choosing to fight Ronda and not fight for a title would be defensible. Like maybe if Stephanie challenged her, like just in some weird bizarre world, like that would be defensible because you wouldn't expect Stephanie to challenge for a title. But yeah, like of course Asuka's gonna go after a belt. Now, I also think I would have been more okay with Ronda showing up if Asuka had actually picked something. And instead of just standing there watching Alexa and Charlotte raise their belts and then not getting a chance to do anything.
Yeah, for such a historical event to have it being overshadowed by like this like weird unknown thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so in line with WWE history that it could have happened no other way, but that was the chance to have something special. And to have it dragged out the way it's getting dragged out, because it wasn't even resolved on the night after on Raw. It was Stephanie telling her, you might not want to make that decision yet because Alexa Bliss might not be champion come Elimination Chamber. So who fucking cares? She can still challenge for a title. Like, whether Alexa is a champ or not shouldn't have any bearing against Asuka, the most dominant motherfucker your company has ever seen.
Sure.
Like, none of that made any sense. I don't know what fever dream possessed the writer that developed it to actually pitch it and have it stick. It's mind-blowing. I don't want the post-match to detract from the match itself. Like I said, the match itself was pretty good. You had all those like dumb overtones of this is history making. It's history in the making. It's so historical. Like that was there throughout, but it didn't detract all that much. Like you still had some really fun moments, like seeing Molly Holly hit the Molly go round. Like we said before, Beth Phoenix standing off against Nia Jax. You had both the Bella Twins come back, and I didn't think we'd ever see Brie in the ring again. Trish came back. Trish looked really good. Like, it's kind of a Rey Mysterio situation with me. Like, I really would not be opposed to her coming back for a run.
I mean, I've never seen Trish look bad, personally. So I guess that part wasn't as surprising to me. But, I mean, I'm still all for another run from her.
And Dana Brooke got an elimination, and it was Kairi Sane. That is amazing to me. Like, I like it. Kairi Sane is an NXT talent. Dana Brooke is an incredible athlete that doesn't get nearly as many props as she deserves. Kairi Sane's not going to stick around. She's not going to be there for like maybe another year. So why not have Dana eliminate her?
I agree.
I just wish Dana had stuck around longer and didn't get eliminated by Tori freaking Wilson.
Fair enough.
I don't know why Tori came back. I really don't.
Oh, and speaking of lazy moves, since I did mention the table in the corner spot earlier, also extreme, like possibly the laziest spinning head scissors takedown that I've ever seen in my life from Kelly Kelly. I mean, she just stood there.
Fucked up so
like
hard.
she just hung on. That's all. Like, I don't even remember who she did it against, but whoever she did it against, they were the only reason why that was spinning.
Yeah. I don't know why you bring back Kelly Kelly if you expect her to do anything other than like try and push people over the ropes. I don't know why. She was never a good wrestler, and she's been away for so long that any skill she did have is just gone. That was hilarious, though.
Yeah.
Oh, and Naomi is the new Kofi.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to give that spot to the black people and only the black people. Like, that is their role in the Royal Rumble.
Was mildly racist, but cool.
Yeah, that's Nick at fanstalkpodcast.com.
That's not me. That's the WWE, because that's the shtick they push on them.
I'm sorry, I didn't see the quotes around that statement.
That groan from Garvin, like that was like the
quotation marks are hard to convey in an audio.
That was
format.
Like the producer of like fucking Conan O'Brien or something, just being like, "What the fuck did he just say?" That was the best. That was the best thing.
But seriously, like, Kofi's been doing that so long, and you have to give that to the only black person in the match, like, except for Jacqueline. Like, that is going to be her legacy now.
Can we remove, like...
She's not going to win.
Can we remove the race from this? What I want to know is who else...
Why? Like, that's what they did.
Okay, so they gave it to Naomi. Okay, fine. If it wasn't Naomi, who else in this match could have done something like that, or at least suggested that's going to be the routine moving forward? Because
that's the thing. I'm fine with that not being a thing for the women. Like, with Kofi, that is his thing.
But it happened. It happened. So who else on the roster in this match do you think could have pulled it off better than she did?
Like Dana Brooke. I think Becky could do something like that.
I don't know about Dana Brooke. I mean, I'm not saying she's a bad wrestler, but I don't think she's...
Like, maybe Liv Morgan, I don't know. Like, that. This has nothing to do with that.
Well,
like, wrestling skill. Like, this is athletic ability.
Right. But, I mean, Dana Brooke's strength is powerlifting before wrestling, right?
Well, do you see her entrances?
Yeah. I mean,
okay, so that's when she has perfectly stable ground. You think she could do that on the fucking top of the barricade there or something? Like,
I don't know, and I'm not really all that interested in seeing her try. Like, I don't want this thing. Like, I want to see Naomi win. I don't want to see her just pigeonholed into this one shtick that, they gave the other athletic black wrestler in the other Rumble.
I didn't mind it as much. I like that she at least did something different with the office chair that Kofi did when he used an office chair. So I didn't think it was that big deal.
I'd rather see her eliminate people and make a push to win. That's all I'm saying.
That's
well,
fair.
She was getting a push back into the ring so that she could do such things. It just didn't work out that way.
Also, to take race out of this, so did John Morrison do a bunch of that shit too. So,
oh, that's true. Good callback.
Thank you.
Yes, he did. So it hasn't always been a racist thing that the WWE has been doing. But for the last long while...
I don't know if it's completely racist. I think it's just, like...
The fact that Kofi's been doing it is not. The fact that they had Naomi do it, do the Kofi spot, I think there's definitely a profile there.
Man, I'm not with you, man.
I don't know about that either myself. I think she's just... as we said before, athletic enough to be capable of doing it. Dana Brooke can do some things very well, but she also has been
I would encourage you to look up some of her bodybuilding.
Sure,
videos.
And I'm not discounting any.
Because like the routines that she puts on,
right? I'm not.
She is at least as athletically gifted as Naomi is.
Fucking saying that she's not athletically gifted, but I am saying that I think when it comes to very small, thin surfaces like the top of a barricade or jumping onto a chair or something like that, I think Naomi...
Right, that exact spot, perhaps not, but it didn't have to be that exact spot.
That's fair. Anyway.
Was there anything else from the Women's Rumble?
I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't. Like, it's not coming to me.
Mickey James, like that standoff
that
with
was
Trish.
Good. I like that callback.
Cool. Yeah, like again, I think that could have gone longer, but maybe not with the way the Rumble goes. I don't know.
I would have liked it if they did
there were still a lot of women around.
I would have liked if they did like a three-way standoff, because she also did some like weird lesbian shit with Asuka, but we didn't get that. Also, I am a little mad that we didn't get to see an Asuka Trish standoff at the very least, because I think that would have been a good moment for the crowd to pop to.
I don't know. Like outside of Mickey, I don't really think anything would have had that kind of effect. Like not with Lita out so early, because nobody popped like that for Sasha.
Well, no, I mean like if Asuka and Trish got that moment to like stare each other down.
Right. I see what you're saying. I just don't think that's there. Like, because that's what Sasha did with Trish, and you didn't get that pop.
I suppose. I feel like Asuka has a better chance of getting that pop at this stage in the game than Sasha. I don't think people look at Sasha. I think the WWE does, but I think the fan base doesn't look at Sasha as this like fucking champion herald anymore.
No.
So I think it might have been possible with Asuka. I would have liked to at least see the attempt.
Yeah. I mean, at least she got one with Ember.
Yeah.
And it was a nice callback, too.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I love the bit. They get the pop. They're circling each other. Asuka's laughing at her, pointing at her arm. Like, remember last time you couldn't fight me because of your arm? Oh, look, now your arm's fucked up again.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
For somebody that doesn't speak English all that well, she communicates a lot of things very, very well.
Yeah,
she definitely does.
Agreed. The only other thing that I had about this match, because overall I felt like this match was good in general. I think it was a good first Rumble. My only major issue with it is that the final three involved both Bella Twins.
But you can make that similar argument with the men's Rumble, that the final three involved.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I feel like they're going for the same thing there.
This is historic. This is showcasing like how good the women's roster is right now. I don't know. Let's put like three of the current roster there. I
mean, sure. But I think much like Nick said, I think they were trying to go for that. They were trying to play for that. Oh, here's two people, or, three.
These are two strongly established company people
who haven't been
against the new generation,
who haven't been competing for years.
Yeah, but they're still the standard bearers for the WWE women. Like, even though they haven't been on TV for a while, like Brie especially, not on Raw and SmackDown, they're still on TV with Total Divas and Total Bellas. The WWE is still very much incorporates them in their marketing. Like, when you think WWE, when you think of the women, those two are right up there for a lot of people.
And it's playing with the idea of here's two people who might win that you don't like, and here's two people who might win that you would prefer to see win. I think it's that same booking strategy of like keeping you on the edge of your seat to see who actually will be the last woman standing.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from. Like, would it have been awesome to see the three best women at the end there? Like, sure, absolutely. But with the story they were telling there, like, I think what they went with made the most sense.
And neither of them won in the end anyway, so hooray.
Yeah. Looking elsewhere on the Rumble card, like, I think the tag team title match was a good way to cover for Jordan's injury. Like, rather than just cancel it out of hand, I think that was decent. Like, it wasn't a good match by any means, but I think with the limited hand they were dealt, like they did okay.
Yeah, it continues the story. It also doesn't. I don't think it necessarily suggests that Jordan's going to be off TV for an extended period of time. You know, he could still like run with this injury angle in segments, at least to kind of explain like what's going on with the tag team.
Well, sure. And I think that also kind of opens the door for how serious is that injury? Is there a chance that he could still pull off a Mania match, or is that completely out of the cards?
Maybe. I wonder how willing they'd be to play up that, oh, is he really injured story when there is an actual injury at play.
Right. I'm not necessarily saying that they should go with that play. I'm saying, like, is he, like, if you're going to keep him on TV, is he dealing with a minor enough injury that he will be able to compete by Mania? Because if that's at all in question, kind of like it was with Seth, I mean, I don't know if it's a good idea to continue that you know, because it's a much more serious and possibly, you know, injury that'll get more focused throughout. You know, like, sure, don't get me wrong, the knee for Seth was a risk. I'm not trying to dispute that, but obviously with wrestling, you're going to fall on your back a lot, and if it's a severe back injury, then I would say play it safe, to be honest.
Well, just to clarify, Seth hasn't worked with an injured knee.
Was his? I thought because of the thing with Joe that his knee was tweaked and it was unsure whether.
Yeah, when Joe injured him and re-injured his knee, like he went off TV.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, is this injury severe enough that he can't compete for Mania? Because if that's or if it even is close to that, then I don't think they should keep him on TV. Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I doubt they keep him on TV. Just because he is injured, it's a back injury. I don't know that they would fuck around with that. I haven't seen any specifics on where in his back he's injured or what specifically. I just know that with the style he wrestles with, like, he wouldn't be able to do most of the shit he generally does.
That's my feeling too. You know, unless it's already been confirmed that it's fairly minor and just a few weeks rest will do him some good, then I wouldn't even try and push it.
Yeah, what sucks.
Yeah,
I wasn't invested in this teaming of him and Rollins, but for him to have to sit out of a Mania because of
especially
injury,
with the potential
that's garbage.
Build to doing something with Angle at Mania 2.
Yeah, Angle or Triple H.
Well, both of them, in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Continuing in the vein of American Alpha related things, like, I wouldn't go so far as to call the Usos winning a mistake, but I don't know where you go after this.
Yeah, it was a shocker for sure. Not necessarily the loss, but the you know, the 2-0 piece of it. Yeah, I'm definitely talking with my heart when I say that, like, I'm disappointed with this and that this was a shit decision. But I'm not totally against the Usos still being champions. I think overall I've liked their reign, especially over the last few months. I would like to see Chad Gable hold a tag title again. But you know, there's still time. Maybe that's your Mania match.
It's possible.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
You could do another tag team turmoil or triple threat or something. It does seem like, based on the interactions on SmackDown, that they're positioning Bludgeon Brothers to be the next challengers for the titles. I'm not extremely excited at that prospect either, other than the fact that I know that Rowan and Harper against the Usos is a great match. But considering the story build to it, I'm not extremely excited by it. But that does seem to be the direction they're going. And live chat also brings up a good point. Authors of Pain could be waiting in the wings. To me, that
Sanity.
That would be the Mania of the match I would go with.
Honestly, I just want Luke Harper to go back to teaming up with Sin Cara. Yeah, AOP maybe. I'm still not convinced that they're not going to Raw, but
I definitely think.
yeah, at this point I wouldn't be opposed.
So it's kind of it's kind of a split-ended choice, I guess you could say, because on the one hand, I think they could do better for the Raw division. On the other, I think a match between the Usos and Authors of Pain is practically dream match level quality. Good dream match level quality. None of that Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg shit. So
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong.
So it's a tough call for me.
Speaking of Brock Lesnar, I think the right choice was made.
Yep, I agree.
It keeps the title on Brock for Balor to take it away from him.
It continues the
Kane,
sorry, go ahead.
I don't know what the hell to go on with Kane.
Wait a second. I don't understand. Where's Balor come into this?
Because I'm thinking that he has to find some way back into the Elimination Chamber. And, like, Balor is the best option to take the title off of Brock, in my opinion.
I am totally with you, but I don't see it now.
I mean, I'm not going to say I don't see it. I do think the likelihood is less than it was at the Rumble.
It's slimmer now.
It's always possible. I've seen WWE do crazier things, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm hoping they have, like, some kind of six-pack challenge for, like, the last spot in the chamber, and Balor takes it. But I don't know. Between Brock winning and then murdering Kane the following night, sure, keep him champ for a little bit longer and keep him off TV until Elimination Chamber. Well,
it continues the narrative too. You know, I do honestly, you know, as especially now that they've, I think, brought the Intercontinental title into a certain level of prominence, that I think it, you know, Miz does feel like, you know, I'm not going to say he feels like Universal Champion per se, but he does feel like the champion you want to go after week to week, you know. And with that in place, I think, you know, finalizing the narrative of Brock holding that title for a solid year, and throwing off all comers that have tried to challenge him, even though a handful of those challengers have nearly cost him that title too. I think it's a good narrative to play, you know. You know, now that I think of it too, is Joe going to be healthy by Mania?
Yeah, okay. He should be.
Because I wouldn't...
Well, there was an outside chance that he'd be healthy in time for the Rumble, but that was just a little too soon.
Because I wouldn't hate it if Joe challenged Brock, and he has a claim too.
I don't see it.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a for sure locked in thing, but...
Like, I don't see the claim.
Oh, I see. I mean...
Because he took a shot and
yeah, but it was... I mean... They played that up pretty heavily in the following weeks, that, like, fucking Lesnar was, like, within an inch of losing his title and got lucky, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's a strong
I absolutely
argument.
buy into the line that Brock didn't win, he just escaped. But I wouldn't sacrifice Balor for Joe versus Lesnar.
Sure. I wouldn't either, you know? I'm just saying, like, if that's, like, that would be my secondary choice over Roman Reigns, but...
Yeah, over Roman or Braun, sure.
Man, I am though a little sad that Braun lost. I'm really kind of confused at like where they're going with him. They're definitely like trying to one up themselves each week. It seems with like how destructive Braun can be on the Raw set. That's only going to last like so much, and then what? What does it lead to?
I mean,
does it lead to the Miz? I don't know.
I mean, they've only
like
been...
if it's not going to lead to WrestleMania versus Brock, like I don't know,
Braun versus Joe.
I mean, we already saw that on a bunch of Raws. I don't know what putting it on the WrestleMania card does.
Yeah, but that was like random throw together matches. Like it wasn't a program.
Sure, but I don't know what. I mean, even with a lot of story build leading up to the match, I don't feel like the match itself is going to be any different. I don't know. I don't know if Braun is very good at what he does, but I don't know if he's got the chops to keep up with Joe in a good program like that. You know, like he's not a fast dude by any means, and I think Joe's best
He's as fast as Joe is.
In certain aspects, yes, I would agree with that.
Like, is he going to be able to go hold for hold?
Of course not.
No, but that's not the appeal of him. Like, that's not what he does. Like, for what he does, Joe can easily.
Sure,
attack.
but I feel like there's a fluidity to, taking an example with the Joe Lesnar match, because they both have significant, maybe not outright MMA backgrounds in Joe's case, but a lot of kind of training with mixed martial arts moves and things of that nature. There's a better fluidity to that match. There's sort of a clunkiness, I feel.
I think there's some revisionism coming into play here, because that match was not a technical match by any stretch of the imagination. That was Joe beating Brock's ass until the very last second.
What I mean to say is there's a fluidity to the like the transition of movement. Like it's a very, very technical kind of critique that I'm giving it. It's not necessarily like, oh yeah, they traded hold for hold, they traded like technical move for technical move or anything like that. You don't get any of that with Braun. It's just like who's the bigger hoss. And I'd rather see Joe have a little bit more of a mentality to his WrestleMania match. I think this is his first one, right? I'd rather see that showcased at WrestleMania rather than let's see who can slam each other the most. Which is
I'm fine with Joe playing the sadistic technician versus Braun's just unbridled monster.
I don't mind that match, just not at WrestleMania. To me, and this is being talked about in live chat too, like the more I think about the idea of does he go after Miz, I like that idea better because I'd rather see him hold singles gold. If not the main title, then the secondary title.
Sure, I'm not opposed to that, and they do have unfinished business. So
I think once you give Braun singles gold, they're going to start cutting the legs out from under him to make people turn on him as hard as possible. Because he's then going to be an obstacle for somebody to overcome. And with the wave that Braun is riding right now in terms of crowd support, I don't think they want to jeopardize that. Because, I mean, he's getting all kinds of merch now. I don't think the merch is any good, but he's getting the merch now.
No one's shirt is ever good.
Well,
yeah,
but it's
get these hands.
Like, I mean, it's also the ebb and flow of how the business goes. I mean, he's got to come down at some point. I'd rather see him have a title before then.
Yeah, he's cresting so hard now, and that's not going to stop anytime soon.
I think they could.
I don't think that happens by now.
I think they could play it similar to, obviously not with the time off, but similar to a Lesnar thing where he's kind of, his own entity. Even though because even though he does pretty much a lot of heel things when he's not wrestling a wrestling match, the fans still cheer the shit out of him. And have never stopped for his entire run since he's been back. So I
that's been stopping since he's faced Joe and Braun.
Yeah, obviously, they're a little bit more over. But I think you can play Strowman the same way. Like, he's a fucking impossible guy to beat. Can this other guy come up and beat him? I don't know. That's the intrigue.
But what happens when it comes time to send somebody after him that the company really does like? Like, they have to sacrifice Braun.
Sure.
And I think they're trying to push that off as far in the future as possible. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, we've speculated that about Brock Lesnar, and they've kept him pretty strong for 2 or 3 years without having to completely undercut him for someone to beat him, So why couldn't they do the same for Braun?
I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm saying they can't do it before Mania.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I that's what I mean. He would win the title at Mania and then go on a big, long run of no one could take this title from me.
Yeah, I don't know. But I guess we'll see. First, we got to get through Elimination Chamber, though.
That's true.
Whereupon we do have some kind of build formulating. In the men's chamber, Braun Strowman defeated Kane to get in. Elias defeated... Fuck, who did he beat? He won, and he's in. John Cena beat Finn Balor to get in, which... Can I say just how ridiculous that whole concept was? Not necessarily that Cena beat Balor, but that Cena played it off like, I gotta get to Mania somehow, you guys. Like, he kept pleading with the crowd for understanding. Because how else is he going to get to WrestleMania if he's not in the main event at the Elimination Chamber? I'm John Cena, but I don't have any kind of pull with anybody backstage. So I got to beat this guy, your favorite. Yeah. Like, come on, man. I haven't seen anything that beggars more belief in the last year, and they've been trying to convince me that Braun can flip ambulances and semis under his own power. Like,
well, he can.
Yeah, obviously.
Seen it on TV, man.
Yeah.
That's some
video
bullshit.
proof.
Yeah, it's right there.
That's some bullshit.
Right
and he can kip up and drop kick.
I'm in broadcasting now. I know those tricks. But there are 3 more entrants to be decided that have not yet been decided, which we will probably see in coming weeks. The Women's Chamber, on the other hand, Alexa Bliss will be defending the Raw Women's title there, and nobody has been decided yet. So we'll see who gets in the ring with her. Or the chamber, rather. One final note. 205 Live. That's starting to get interesting again. First of all, we do have a new GM. It is Drake Maverick, the artist formerly known as Rockstar Spud. And his first order of business was to announce a 16-man tournament, the winner of which would be decided at WrestleMania. So we had 2 matches last night. First of which was Cedric Alexander versus Grand Metalik. Cedric Alexander won. And then we had TJP versus Tyler Bate. And TJP won through nefarious means because he is a douche. So what do you guys think? Rockstar Spud in the WWE.
Well, real quick, Beanbags is saying in the live chat, when was 205 Live not interesting? And I am with him there. I've always liked 205 Live, so I've been into what they've been doing, even with Enzo as champ. It was a roiling garbage fire with Enzo as champ. In your opinion, yes, but not in my opinion. I think he was
in the opinion of most.
All right, well, that's cool, man. I have
seen stalwart 205 Live advocates, like people that create fanfic out the wazoo for that show. By the time that Enzo finally abdicated the title, they just given up. Because it didn't seem like there was any end in sight until he was suspended and then fired. Like, for them to turn away their most rabid fans of that show, like, that says something.
I don't know,
like,
man.
Yeah, you had other interesting stuff going on, like Itami versus Kendrick and Gallagher and some other things going on. Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali. Sure, that was good.
But you were building.
You had all this other bullshit going on.
No, I mean, you were building towards the Gulak Enzo match at WrestleMania. That's what you were building towards. And I was into that.
I don't see how. Enzo sucks that much.
Well, okay.
Speaking as a former Enzo mark, I will be honest that I thought the prospect when he first won the title was interesting, and I wanted to see where it went. But the dude couldn't wrestle, man. Like, that's the number one part about being the champion that sets you apart from everyone else on the roster. And dude barely could fucking pull off 1 or 2 moves and just got the shit beat out of him and got lucky. That's like one of the, I mean, take everything else out, whatever happened backstage with Enzo and, you know, his character, if you didn't like it or whatever, take all that away, like, and just put it like champion A versus challenger B. Even Ric Flair, for all of, you know, everybody calls him a technical mastermind, but you've seen his matches haven't changed extreme amount, you know, over his career. Even he could make like 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 moves, you know, in certain amounts of succession over a match. Interesting. If Enzo can't do that, and in my opinion he could not, it's a bad idea the whole way around. Like, how do you have your champion? It's like Santina as champion or anything else like that. It's just a ridiculous concept if they can't deliver, especially after you came off of matches like fucking Neville versus Tozawa or Neville versus Aries or, you know, Neville versus even Rich Swann and all these other fucking amazing cruiserweight matches. And now you're just giving us, I mean, in my opinion, what literally was the bare minimum wrestling wise.
And it wasn't even that he's not a bad wrestler and a bad champion, but he kept that title hostage. While he was champion, you never saw anybody pursue the belt. It was always Zo Train versus Face Army. And every member of the Zo Train is infinitely more talented than Enzo. Like, Drew Gulak's stint as a stooge was entertaining because he has that depth as an actor. But I want to see Noam Dar wrestle. I want to see Arya Daivari wrestle. I want to see Tony Nese, who, like, that was the best surprise to come out of any of that bullshit Enzo did, was that he actually had some character. Sure, they promptly ignored it after Gulak stabbed him in the back to stay with Enzo, and, like, nothing went on there. But, like, it still happened. And yet none of them could get a title shot because of Enzo's bullshit.
Did anyone out promo Enzo?
Gulak.
Well, right.
Every time they went on the mic,
they were building towards that match, right? I'm with you there, but generally speaking, on the rest of the roster, did anyone else out promo him?
I think Gallagher did. I think Kendrick did. I think Tozawa, with what he had going, I think he did. Enzo is not that good at promo.
Not in his cruiserweight run. I thought a lot of his promos when they were doing the Enzo cast split were pretty good, but
I think he had a novelty factor going on for a little while there. But let's talk about the show, like, as it stands now. Like, Drake Maverick, it's not a great name, but, you know, neither was Rockstar Spud. I've missed that dude. Like, I missed hearing him talk. I think he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, agreed. It's kind of interesting to see how this character is presenting itself. I would be like, I'm still kind of curious on what direction you're going, because right now it's like a mixture of face Rockstar Spud and when he was like the valet for the name's escaping me now.
EC3?
No, the Damien Sandow character. Like, as far as how he's dressed.
Oh, Aaron Rex.
Yeah. He is so versatile, though. This is a great signing, and I don't know if he'll end up ever wrestling, but just to have that kind of presence on the mic, especially in a leadership role, I think is going to be really good for 205. So this is a wonderful signing.
Yeah. It's a shame that we do not have Tozawa as the new GM, because that would have been entertaining. But yeah, I don't think he could have done better than Maverick there. But yeah, unless anybody else has any thoughts on 205 Live or anything else that happened this week.
Yeah. Wait, Tyler Bate. How about him getting called up to the main roster, the 205 roster? That's awesome. I
don't necessarily know that's a call up.
I'd be saddened if it wasn't a full-time thing. I mean, it is a tournament, and I think a majority of these matches are going to be a tournament, so maybe it will be a few weeks before we have, even close to an opportunity to see him. But I'm hoping he's.
I think somebody else is in there too. That's not on the roster, or at least not right now. His name escapes me right now. But yeah, if he is there to stay, like, I wouldn't say no to that, because I would love for him to be something other than a perpetual contender for the UK title. But yeah, that was still a good match. Like, I don't see how it could have ended any other way. But yeah, that was still a fun match to watch. But I think that is going to bring us to the close of the show. So you guys can find us on fanstalkpodcast.com. That is our homepage and the hub for everything that we do. You can find the archive. You can find links to our Facebook group. You can also find links to our Discord chat, where we hold live chats during both this show and other things that we do. So, like, if there's a pay-per-view on, chances are we're holding a live chat for that as well. So if you want to jump in on that, that's where you find it. You can also find us on Twitter at FansTalkPodcast. You can send us a topic you'd like us to discuss. Use the hashtag AskFTPW. If you listen to the show through any podcatchers such as Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, or you listen through an app like SoundCloud or TuneIn Radio, please leave us a rating and a review. Leave us your thoughts, your feedback, what you liked or what you didn't like. Next week, especially after this past week, there's going to be kind of a dearth of wrestling, so we're just going to be talking Raw, SmackDown, NXT, 205 Live, what happened there, what didn't happen, what maybe should have happened, all kinds of things of that nature. So stay tuned for that. But until then, for Adam, Garvin, and everybody in the live chat, my name is Nick, and we will see you next time here on Fans Talk Pro Wrestling. Good night, y'all.